Dun-dun-dun, we're live on the air.
Hey, everybody.
Anarchy Among Friends, Roundtable Discussion, 7-Eleven. Live for viewing pleasure. Everybody's going to have to introduce themselves tonight, because that's the way it goes.
Dan Holder here. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Jason.
Hi, Dan.
Jason.
I'm Jason.
Should we plug our projects at the beginning?
If you want
Plug
to.
them real quick.
Yeah.
This is
plug 'em,
Anarchy.
Dan.
We do what we want.
Goddamn right.
Fuck, I won't do what you tell me. All right, Derek, plug your projects real quick.
Okay.
Or don't, whichever. You're an
You can
anarchist.
find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Derek of the America. And I just started a new group called Triggered Status. That's been really fun so far.
What?
And that's where we post screenshots and relevant, please, dear God, people, relevant memes having to do with the shit that statists say when they get fucking triggered, when their little feels get hurt, when their, dander gets ruffled. So that's a fun group. But it's a closed group. You have to join to see it because apparently some of these dickheads were taking screenshots and reporting people.
Yay. Fucking bastards.
So inspired by Jeremy's recent
Thread?
post with the the great status
what
anarchist
happened?
war of 2017. So we'll talk about that. I think we'll get into that later. And then we have Freedom Seeds is the group for anybody who's anarcho-curious or curious about voluntarism or these principles of liberty.
Anarcho-curious. That sounds so dirty.
I know, that's what I was thinking, dude.
Why do you think I use it? But anyway,
it's an attention grabber. That's what it is.
That's right.
Grabs them by the
attention, Mark. Attention.
Grabs them by the attention.
Attention.
That's right.
By the
attention.
By the medulla oblongata.
Hopefully the attention grabs back.
I'm on a whole bunch of other pages too, although I haven't been tending my adminship on those pages. But the first one I was ever added as an admin on is Wolf in the Sheeple's World, Jason's page. I am Fair Force 1 on there. You'll see me abbreviated as Foxtrot 1. I'm on I Fucking Love Voluntarism, Anarchy for Liberty, Freedom Birds, Today's Government Screw Up, Today's Free Market Win, Feels Above, The Dark Lord of Things That Hurt the Feels. That's one of my other pages that I made.
I love that page.
And then there's more that I can't think of right now. I'm sorry for anybody I left out.
All right.
Holy shit.
Jason, A Wolf in the Sheeple's World. Find me on Facebook and Twitter at Facebook or /JASBOOTHE. I'm on, I help out Derek of the America, the Voluntary Agrarian. I am now on badquaker.com. That is the Facebook page for Ben Stone's books, Sedition, Subversion, and Sabotage, Field Manual #1. I do memes for both those pages. Voluntarism. Yeah. Dan, you got any pages?
You're forgetting a few.
I'm sure I'm forgetting like a dozen.
Right.
I only admin for a couple anymore, so I don't know. Anyway, if you want to get a hold of me, send me a friend request, whatever. It's Daniel James on Facebook. I got the Unschooled Thought that I admin for, and the Tinfoil Crown, which are I don't know the one is more, I guess, conspiracy related, and the other one is more focused on unschooling people, in terms of their indoctrination, statism, things of that nature.
So the Tinfoil Crown is the unschooling one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I...
No. The Unschooled Thought is yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. And I also admin for the Dark Fields page as well. And I think that's about it.
You should do more on Feels Above.
I know. I need to, dude. I don't know. I've been slacking.
I think
Because
we
I
So
wasn't
am
even
I.
on face. I wasn't even on the internet for like 3 days straight.
So,
People
it's-
thought you had been
it's-
arrested. They were flipping out.
Right?
People thought I died, dude.
Yeah.
People were like messaging me and shit, like, "You still alive, bro?" Like, I'm like, damn, I didn't even know I was that fucking important to people.
That's right. Better believe
Well, we
it.
didn't message you,
Ma'am?
but we talked about you on Telegram.
Memes
Yeah,
are
I
better
know,
than
I know.
intravenous drugs, man. I'm telling you.
Well, I didn't even go on
Memes.
Telegram or anything. So
Yeah, that's what I were
I
wondering
was,
about.
I was just
yeah.
like, I straight up unplugged. So it's good. It's good for
Yeah.
you know,
The psyche.
mental clarity. You know, getting your
Yes.
face away from the digital screen every once in a while.
All right, Mark.
'Cause-
Mark,
All
picture us so
right.
we get-
I'm Mark. I am the voluntary agrarian. I'm Mark on a couple of pages. Haven't been posting that much, but we're gonna change that. Right? Right.
That's what we all say every time.
I know it's been a rough couple of weeks here. Crazy shit. For me, I don't know about anybody else.
Oh, definitely.
It's for everybody.
Craziness ensues.
Mercury must be in retrograde, brah.
Oh
I don't even fucking know what
no.
that means. I don't even fucking know what that means. People are always talking.
I don't know.
about
I've heard people say it. I figured it was like, you know, the
Well,
hip thing.
Melissa's joining us later. She'll be happy to
that.
explain it to you.
Hipster.
Not me.
No, it's just it's been spring. The weather's been warming up, and they've been taking care of stuff around here. We spent all day today doing yard work. You know.
Nice.
So, just boring middle America bullshit.
Yeah, but where you getting the kids working?
Yet my yard
Oh, yeah.
looks the same.
Because
What the hell?
hey, child labor is like the best thing you got going for you when you're a parent.
It is, especially since
Yep.
the oldest one is bigger than fucking both of us.
Nice.
I mean, he's a big kid. So yeah, he can get out there and use some of that tard strength for good instead of evil.
Yeah, man. My dad used to have me working in his body shop when I was young, like before I could even get a working permit or whatever, you know.
Yep. I was slinging bricks at 10 for mine.
I
would
know
be in
you
the
were.
office
Strangely
and my dad
enough,
You were sending them across
Mercury
country to me.
is in retrograde. Just saying.
Is it really?
Yeah, I just saw
Is
a
it really?
post from a friend of mine. May could be a wild ride.
Nice.
At least Mercury will come out of retrograde. Holy shit.
No shit.
Hey, by the way, I'm
I
looking
guess
at the
I guess I was right without even knowing it.
I'm looking at the feed, and I don't know if this is just because I'm viewing it on my laptop, but I'm only seeing Kev and I up on the screen, and then you guys, like, it's not switching.
Yep. I noticed that.
I'm seeing it switch.
Well, no, Google's switching. Google's
Yeah.
switching, but YouTube's not.
Yeah, it's switching in the Hangout, but as
It should
it's
now.
streamed, it's not.
That's right.
Is it working now?
And that's why we're not professionals.
Hey, whatever. As long as they can hear us.
Hey, YouTube switched.
Did it?
There-
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yep. There's Mark. There's me. There's Mark. There's you again.
Hit
Okay,
the
good.
wrong button. Sorry, guys.
Good.
Okay.
Blame it on the
right,
doggo.
Mark.
All right.
God damn.
Let's get this going, damn it.
I know. All right,
Oh, yeah.
Jason.
Melissa's going to be joining us in a little bit. She's putting the kids down. So,
So Jeremy's not going to
Won't
join
they just
us?
go to sleep?
what's that?
I said, won't they just go to sleep?
The kids.
That's-
Do you have to put them down?
Yeah. Well, being
Well,
a crazy
hey,
anarchist.
Before you guys get into
suffering.
the
It's
articles,
the humane thing to do.
before you guys get into the articles, I wanted to know your guys' opinion on this whole thing. I don't know if you guys read it or not, but I saw a post about it, and it was talking about how Trump said that he wanted to rename May 1st Loyalty Day or something along those lines. And I'm like, wait, isn't that like May Day, like communist holiday, Beltane, like the occult holiday, like pagan holiday, like
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah,
little weird.
He just wants it to be his propaganda day.
Well, yeah, of course, but
Loyalty Day. I mean, does that creep anybody else out?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Like, it's Kiss Your Leader's Asshole Day or something. I don't. Is this fucking North Korea?
Yeah, no, it's not meant to be like that, man.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
a plug for
Leader.
your local dog shelters.
Ha 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 ha.
I'm just saying.
Plug for the local dog shelters. Loyalty.
Hey, dogs are a man's best friend.
That's
You
right.
can put a dog and your wife in your trunk, drive 100 miles. Only one of them is going to be happy to see you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, see, I always kind of
That
like
is
equated.
objective fact.
I always kind of
But
equated
you can
dogs to
only
being
fuck
like.
one of them, guys.
Well, only in 49 of the states. There's still West Virginia.
Oh,
Oh man.
And Mark's naked, so who knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's
Watch
hot and
the
muggy
right
here.
hand. Don't pay attention to the left hand.
Pay no attention to what's going on the other hand. Look over here.
It is hot and muggy here, though, you guys.
It's a magic
I don't blame
trick.
Mark for having a shirt on.
Yeah, it's really hot here.
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't. It's not hot, but it's fucking humid
Humid?
as shit. Yeah, it got up to like 90. You know, that's not like scorching. It's hot, but it's not.
I'm so glad-
scorching.
I'm so glad we don't
So
get the
humid.
humidity you guys get.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
it
Yeah.
Lucky
sucks.
bastard.
It was
Sucks.
83 here today, but it was only like 28% humidity.
Ugh,
Oh
you
wow.
suck, Jason.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
99,000% here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
It
so
was
it's not
worse
that bad.
yesterday.
It's not that bad.
No,
It
you
was
still got
worse
a couple more
yesterday because
percent to
it was
go.
Like, yeah, it was heavily
Yeah.
overcast yesterday, so it was just fucking miserable.
No. It
I hate this
happens.
shit.
Suck it up and
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah. All right. Fine.
Do
Let's
do
fucking
yard work in the winter.
Talk about other shit then. Damn.
Do yard work in the winter, and you won't have to deal with the humidity.
Fucking A, right.
Or do it
Right
at 2 a.m. like a normal Californian.
No.
Normal? Are you sure they're not smoking meth?
Most Californians.
That is a normal California.
Oh, all right. That makes sense then.
Yeah. I live a few minutes from a place affectionately called Methyl Island.
Oh, I bet. Well, I mean, that
Nice.
shit's big out on the west. Like, you know, it's not so much a thing like out here east. Well, not anywhere near where I live. It's all heroin junkies and cool people
Yeah.
like that, you know.
Yeah, there's like this. Kevin has been reading about this, like the heroin epidemic is like creeping out from Philly into
Yeah,
like
dude.
Delaware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that they're mixing it with fentanyl, which is a
The
prescription
fentanyl,
Yeah, it's a prescription medication, which is like, all right, what doctors like writing these dudes like crazy scripts so that they can get this shit, and then mix it, and then people are dying because like they're, you know.
Doesn't have to be a doctor. It
That's
doesn't.
true.
It has to be
That's
like a crooked pharmaceutical company employee.
Yeah, you can get that
You
shit black
know?
market.
Yeah. So
It's still crazy. It's horrible. You know what I mean?
I only say that because we've been watching Better Call Saul.
Yeah, right.
So,
If you got connections,
yep.
yeah, that's it's sad, man. Because like I don't know, there's like people that die around here from overdoses like all the fucking time, and you know, it's like and
overdose.
now New York State is talking about setting up places where addicts can safely do their drugs under supervision
injection
and
site,
whatnot. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. People are gonna do what they're gonna do anyway, but it's like I don't know. It's fucked up.
It'd be a lot better if it was a free market doing it, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, not
I mean,
taxpayer funded.
well, the stigma attached to it in the first place is kind of what leads to the issue down the road.
Exactly.
Anyway, you know what I mean? It's like telling a kid that
Yes.
they can't drink, and then they're gonna want to drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you took the stigma and the illegality of it away from it.
Like
I think
like how
And
Portugal.
people wouldn't feel like they need
no,
to hide it.
pot use among teens in Colorado.
Oh yeah,
When-
exactly. That's a perfect example.
It dropped like 29% or something like that since the legalization.
Well, it's kind of counterintuitive to like the way
Wow.
that people normally think things would work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right.
It's like
Well, no,
you.
not normal. It's to what politicians think and what the
Well, yeah,
higher ups
exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once something becomes not a rebellious act, most
Right.
people won't do it because most people they'll smoke pot or they'll drink or do drugs, whatever, because it's a rebellious act, right? It's their way of acting out against the normalities of society.
Well,
They at least
prohibition was a
won't
prime
do it
example.
at the rate that they do it now. You know what I mean? I mean, people I think will still dabble with it, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of the impetus that drives addiction has to do with this alienation from the rest of society because of this stigma.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not only
You know
that,
what
and
I
people
mean?
are like kind of afraid to get help when they need it because of the
Yeah.
stigma attached to it. Whereas
Yeah.
it should be treated as a mental health issue as opposed to a criminal
They give you felonies,
criminal
you can
issue.
never get a job
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
You know, I mean, yeah.
Because I
Or
mean,
you have a hard time.
people should
getting a job.
be able to seek help and get better and like deal with their situation than have to be thrown in a friggin' jail cell and be like, okay, yeah, figure it out. We're gonna
Right,
we're gonna
plus-
stick you around people where you can get drugs easier in jail than you can out in the fucking real world.
Yeah.
Not
Plus,
only
criminalizing it
Yeah.
does it do those people any fucking good whatsoever?
No, not at all.
What, like kicking somebody while they're down, has that ever helped that person stand back up again?
Not at all. And I have
Fucking never.
friends that
it's
have
like
gone to
the
jail for
thing.
drugs, and they said it's easier to get drugs in there than it is outside. And it's like,
Yeah, it's like
I
the
believe
saying the only thing harmful about marijuana is getting caught with it.
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So.
Now, we're not saying that other drugs aren't harmful,
Oh, not at all.
but
I'm not saying that at all.
marijuana, I mean, especially if you're smoking it, you'd pass out
Allegedly.
before you could ever take it enough to overdose. Like you'd fall asleep first.
Oh yeah, totally.
And you don't pass out like blackout, like when you're drunk. There's no risk of alcohol poisoning or anything like that. Just in case anybody doesn't fucking know this already, you cannot OD on weed.
Well, I think Nancy
It's
Grace
fucking
would
Well,
disagree
here's the
with
problem. You can burn to death. It's terrible.
That's true.
You know when you
Almost
when
happened
you
to me
get too
one
much
time.
on.
I dropped a
Yeah,
roach in
you
my lap.
fucking
Mark, you
throw a pizza in the oven,
Yeah.
pass out, forget about it.
But seriously, Mark, you work in emergency medical services. How many people
Used to.
Okay, used to. How many people did you ever have to resuscitate from fucking weed overdoses?
Millions.
One? Yourself doesn't count.
I mean, I was a paramedic for almost 20 years, like not 18 and a half years. And one time we responded to a marijuana emergency.
Really?
Wow.
Was it like that meme that I posted about edibles? Not
Oh,
high,
yes.
not high, still not high,
Yes.
not high. Drive me
That
to the
shit'll happen.
emergency room, please.
Yeah.
18-year-old girl just did not know how to react. She was just fucking gone. Well, her parents were, so.
Take a bite. 20 minutes later, I'm not feeling anything. You take another bite.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you lose the next fucking week of your life.
Been there.
Now I'm being drugged to hell.
Yeah.
I'm not messing with edibles. I have a self-control problem when I'm eating.
Dude,
What?
oh my god, that's the problem. It's like it's so good you don't want to stop, and then you're like, you like have to check yourself in the middle of it. You're like, all right, did I eat enough?
Yeah.
Should I stop now? You know what I mean?
I know.
Because they make like edible ice cream now, and like I saw like a coffee flavored like
A coffee creamer, yeah.
That would be bad.
THC infused ice cream, and I'm like, dude, I would eat that whole pint, and like I didn't have to go into like a psychosis episode.
Never come
Don't
back.
ever make edible cinnamon bears. Like I will fucking make myself dead.
Hashtag life goal. Edible
Yeah,
cinnamon bears.
I like
Bears.
emerge from the woods like, which way is Woodstock, man?
Sorry,
Walk into-
a couple decades
walk-
too late.
Walk into the woods and have a conversation with Henry David Thoreau.
Dan, you're too late. The only thing this stupid generation has is Coachella. Sorry.
Yeah, oh my god.
Which is commercialized as fuck, by the way.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
true.
see-
Burning Man.
The funny thing is
Still
that
burning.
like those people,
Oh.
like those liberals back in the day, whatever, you know what I mean? They were like real liberals. They actually like appreciated free speech. They defend like, you know, people's right to say what they, you know, wanted. Now it's like
Yeah.
it's totally fucking different.
Oh my god.
You mean liberals that were anti-war?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly, right?
A
Imagine
couple
that.
of fun little kind of stories that segue off of this is the you guys saw about that the big supposed to be like festival, like food and music and stuff
Yeah.
festival, Fire Island, Bahamas. Like all
Mhm.
these rich millennials bought like $10,000-$12,000 tickets,
Really?
and then it was supposed to be catered. It was supposed to have luxury tents. It was supposed to have security and secure lockers and stuff. So these kids, these spoiled little fucking rich kids, get there to the Bahamas. It's this private island in the Bahamas. And there's like a bunch of half-assembled FEMA tents for them.
Oh
There's
shit.
no catered food. There's like ham and cheese sandwiches.
Yes.
And there's like vagrants, like locals running around pickpocketing everybody. There's feral dogs running around. There's fucking, all their bags were lost. Like a truck pulled up in the middle of the night to the camp and just tossed everybody's bags out of the back of the fucking truck.
Yeah,
Like passports are stolen. All the music, like Blink 182
God.
fucking pulled out because they didn't want to do it, and so like the music thing didn't happen. And it's just, it's.
yeah.
Did you guys see that?
The
news
article I
article?
read compared it to Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
Nice.
So,
They would eat each other alive too.
yeah. Yep. They're like fighting over food and shit like that. I'm not even joking.
Well, that's what happens when you get to like a certain point in like society. Like there's like, you know, the decadence and like poverty
Mhm.
cycle that continuously goes, you know, round and round. And it's like decadence
Right.
creates weak people and they like, you know, they'll eat each other alive.
Right. And then that adversity creates strong people who build something better.
Exactly.
And then that better thing they've built creates decadence for the next generation.
Yep.
And so on and so forth.
And round and round it goes.
Complacency is the enemy.
Yeah. So there was that. That was funny. I loved that. That was a great article. There was another one, but I fucking forgot what it was already. Sorry.
Did you bring another one, or is that the one you brought?
No, that wasn't one of the ones I
Oh, okay.
brought. I just remembered that because we were talking about music festivals. I
Oh.
thought that was funny.
Since you're on a roll,
Yeah.
what you get?
Okay.
Let's see what you got.
All right, this one, you guys are gonna die. This one's fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Oh shit, I only have the video on here. Okay, so what happened is police in Newport, Oregon. Newport, Oregon. So this is a beach town. It's a coastal town, and there's a Yaquina Bay Coast Guard station there, and police got called after some citizen saw a cat in a tree, and they thought the cat was holding a fucking assault rifle, and it was a goddamn fucking branch in the shape of like an AK-47, and they thought this fucking cat was holding an assault rifle, and they
All
called
right,
the cops.
so without opposable thumbs, how the fuck is a cat gonna hold an assault rifle?
I know.
For starters.
This is a product of this goddamn fear porn.
Yeah,
like
totally,
The fucking
totally.
constant fear mongering about
I thought
guns.
Heisenberg got loose again.
Heisenberg's a badass.
There's
Dude, I
the
love that guy.
that's the picture of the cat that I thought was.
Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Hold it up. Speak, Jason, so that you're the big picture.
Hey, that's
Here
the,
we-
that's
we
the that's the picture of the cat that they thought was.
Yeah.
Fucking
Had a fucking
badass.
assault rifle. Look at that.
It
Yeah.
figures that's why they equate cats to anarchists.
That's right. Cats are the best anarchists.
I can't believe the fucking police responded
Nah,
to that.
the goat says fuck
Right,
you, Hemingway.
seriously, dude.
Fortunately,
Like, what does somebody say? They call 911 and 911 and they say, "There's a cat up in a tree and it's pointing a gun at me." Who the fuck takes that seriously?
yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah, right.
said there was a pussy in a tree with a gun.
That's possible.
Black Bloc.
They were probably like, yo, it's one of those Antifa guys got a hold of a gun.
The article says, fortunately, it turns out the gun was actually just a branch. So the cops determined the cat wasn't a threat and they left.
Luckily.
So what if it was a dog? Would they have shot it?
Oh, just
Absolutely.
just on principle.
Probably. Dogs are always a threat. when you're
Just
a
on
dog.
principle, they just shot it.
I mean, it could have been a baby, and they could have flash banged it out of the tree. You know.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
That's true.
oh.
That's true. And that cat's lucky.
over
it's
the
not
line,
selling
Mark.
loose
Over
cigarettes.
the line.
Too soon. Too soon.
The cat's
My
lucky
God.
that it's not selling loose cigarettes. Otherwise, they would have fucking climbed it just to choke it.
And the police determined that the cat was no threat.
Like that's what it took. It took the police to determine that the cat was not a threat, and then they left.
I
Like,
want to know
it's
who
a
fucking called
fucking
them.
cat
Look,
in a tree.
I
Exactly.
know people in Newport. Which one of you fuckers called the cops because you thought that this cat had a goddamn assault rifle? You're
See,
idiots.
this is a direct result of the
When the
perpetual.
edibles kick in.
Yeah, right.
No,
Right?
if
It is Oregon.
this was
It
an
is
edible,
Oregon. We got an excuse.
if this was an edibles, they'd be talking about the Cheshire cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Right?
Right.
No, see this
Maybe
this
that's
sort of
what
thing.
it's called.
This sort of thing is a real issue. I mean, this is
Oh, it totally is.
a product of the perpetual propaganda being perpetrated against us via the mainstream
Hyper-
media.
Fearful fucking people
Yes.
seeing guns behind every fucking corner.
Yes, I mean there was one in Idaho a couple like last month. The guy walked through campus with a bag on his back, and people freaked out and said it was an assault rifle. The cops came,
Wow.
the campus got locked down, the sheriff, it was on the news, and then the guy like the next day watching the news goes, "Oh, that must have been me." And he goes to the police and it's a bag that was holding a pool stick.
Jesus.
Like it was a two-piece pool stick in a bag.
Okay, campuses are getting even worse. I remembered the other one that I was going to tell you guys about. Did you hear about I think it's Harvard, the hunger strike
The
for the
hunger
grad students?
Yeah,
the
dude.
hunger strike where they can eat.
Yeah, the symbolic hunger strike.
It's my kind of
for the
hunger
grad
strike.
students.
Right.
Did you
Let me
see
rewind
the
real quick for a second back to the cat thing. That
Okay.
there's another fucking piece to this that I wanted to talk about, and it's the fucking lack of discernment in the goddamn
Yeah,
police
right?
department.
Seriously.
Anyway, I just wanted to bring that point.
Yeah.
Seriously, how does a police dispatcher not say, ma'am, are you sure it's not a fucking stick?
I would have thought that it was like a prank call or something. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Me tue.
All right,
What
new
the
policy, I'm implementing right now. When you call in stupid bullshit like this, you get a fucking drug test.
Yeah, right. They come by and they're
Better study
vacuuming their
for
lawn.
that one.
Yeah.
God damn it. This is as dumb as the guy that called the police, asked him to bring out a police dog to find his stolen weed.
Jesus.
That was like 3 or 4 days ago. That was in the news.
Nice.
Nice.
But yeah, the
I read an article one time about this dude that he got like busted multiple times for like Grand Theft Auto. And dude stole a car to show up to his court date.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
mhm.
I was
I
like,
remember
that's fucking gangster, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Going
is
back to
gangsta.
going back to this hunger strike thing, they were protesting because they want quote more union rights. Okay,
This
they
is
get-
grad students too.
they
These
get
aren't just
paid-
like
Wait,
Doctoral
grad
students.
students at where? Harvard?
Doctoral
Harvard.
students.
Really? I thought it was grad students.
Doctoral
Doctoral.
students.
yeah.
Oh my god.
So they get. I
These are
remember,
people
they
that have
get
been marinating in the university system for
they
7
get
8
they get
years.
a $30,000 a year stipend, plus free health care, plus their $40,000 tuition covered.
Wow.
How?
That's what they're what the Union of Whiny
No,
College
that's
Students, or-
what this doctoral program, that's what they cover.
Jesus.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
that's not
so-
enough for them?
Yeah. It's
It's not a living wage. Come on, guys.
Did you see the conservative club's response?
No, I didn't.
To the
was
protest.
It great? Was it fun?
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
yes!
Organized
Yes,
a barbecue.
Yes,
They
were
organized a
barbecuing
barbecue
next
right outside.
Yeah. But what good did that do? Because they're allowed to eat on this symbolic hunger
Yeah.
strike.
Symbolic hunger strike.
Oh my
Well, you
God.
want to hear some real messed up shit?
That's
I just
literally-
heard.
You guys, this is literally the most fucking millennial thing I've ever heard.
Right.
A symbolic hunger strike. That's
Symbolic hunger strike. Yeah,
Yes.
where they can eat if they get hungry.
Yes.
Well, tell them to go and visit the Palestinians that are in jail. That the Israelis did the exact same thing to them. Because I read about an article about that about a week ago, where the IDF was holding a barbecue outside of one of their prisons where they had Palestinian prisoners or whatever. And I'm like, maybe that's where they got the idea from. But I mean, I find it way more hilarious, for idiots that are actually, not starving to death.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny shit.
Yeah, man.
But the article said something like, "This is exactly why people think Republicans are heartless." Why? Because they actually see a bunch of fucking whiny diaper babies.
If
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
What the hell? What's
if that's the
heartless about that?
takeaway
Those
from that,
assholes can
there's some
fucking eat if
fucked
they
up
want.
people.
Well, yeah.
All right,
It's,
so let me ask this. So if they really were, if it wasn't symbolic at all, if it was like legit hunger strike, like what were they going on strike for?
they wanted more union rights, is what I read in the
Oh
article.
Christ!
Like they
So
wanted
what's
they
it
wanted
for themselves.
Like their student union.
I don't know. I gotta
Is that-
find the article.
So wait, the stuff that you named off, that's all the stuff that they got from their union, right?
Right. From their doctoral.
But that wasn't good
program
enough.
they're enrolled.
But that wasn't good
I
enough
guess
for them.
not. I guess
What the
not.
fuck, man? Like I have no sympathy for these people whatsoever.
None. Zero.
Tuition
Yeah,
and
man.
healthcare paid plus a $30,000 annual salary just for being a doctoral student.
Yeah, it's
What was it,
insane.
Yale?
Yeah.
Yale or Harvard.
Yeah,
One of the two.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Yale.
Yale.
Yale. Okay.
Fucking pampered babies, man.
Yep. Yep. It's embarrassing.
It is really.
It's fucking embarrassing to live in the same imaginary dirt lines that these fucking people live in.
I mean, shit. People from
Let's
other
see.
countries probably look at us and they're like, "Wow, these fucking people! Like, they have more than they
Yeah.
could eat, and they're on symbolic
I know.
hunger strike." Like,
Someday I'm gonna run into someone from another country. They're gonna be like, "Oh wait, you're from that fucking place where those assholes went on
Right.
that hunger strike where they could still eat."
It's
Fuck
practice.
you.
Yeah.
it's like, yo,
retard.
I don't
They're
associate
going to
with
be
those
our
people
next
whatsoever.
senators and fucking representatives.
Yeah, no shit. These people are gonna be the leaders of
Yeah.
our fucking
Yeah, dude.
government.
Yeah, that's the
it's
sad
okay.
part.
I got the article up from the Washington
Oh.
Times.
Your government, not mine.
It says
That's right. It's not my government either.
a group of Yale University graduate students are engaged in a symbolic hunger strike. Rumbling stomachs may be filled with food for better benefits. Student
Oh my
Union
God.
Local 33 began a collective fast in front of the university president Pete Sturvey's home on Tuesday. Blah 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 blah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's not really how hunger strikes work, responded political editor in chief. Blah blah. I eat when I'm hungry too. I don't call it a hunger strike.
Wow. Oh my God, dude.
Let's see. Okay, this quote from a student. It says a hunger strike is a thing that comes to mind for prisoners who are being mistreated. Nicholas Vincent, graduate 2017, the chairman of the Graduate Student Assembly, added, "I think it's not outlandish to say that they're putting themselves in considerable harm for this."
No, they're not. They're still fucking eating.
Washington Free Beacon noted on Thursday that Yale doctoral students earn a stipend $30,000 a year, receive free health care, and have their $40,000 tuition paid in full.
Oh my God.
Is that every doctoral student or just a
Yeah.
few?
I think it's all of them.
Jesus.
Wow.
Shit, we
Yeah.
know where you're going for your
So-
doctorate, honey.
So right off. So if they never go to the doctors right off the bat, they're getting $70,000 worth of benefits.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
$40,000 tuition, $30,000 stipend, plus free health care.
You know they're going to the doctor. They need all that fucking birth control.
Oh, I have a pain. Oxycodone. Sell them in the
Yeah.
student union for 25 a pop.
Yeah. That's right. Or I can't concentrate on Ritalin. So
Yeah, right.
stimulants to people who need to fucking stay up all night doing research.
I have social anxiety.
So when
Absolutely.
are we taking the warning labels off everything and just letting shit sort itself out?
Hashtag bring back Darwin.
Dear God.
I
Hashtag
mean,
make
I'm a big
stupidity
proponent of
hurt
natural
again.
selection for that reason.
Yep. To quote Melissa, make natural selection great again.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
I mean, I think Darwin was.
I want to say make stupidity hurt again. Hashtag make stupidity hurt again. Yeah.
Stupid should hurt.
Yep. Stupid should fucking hurt.
Well, I think
Speaking of stupid,
Darwin was full of shit too. You know what I mean? His whole theory of evolution is garbage. But I'll get into that at a later date.
speaking of stupid, I got stupid.
A
for
much
you.
later date.
Yeah, right. That could take more than 2 hours.
All right, you guys are gonna want to hold your heads for this one.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay.
I'd be interested in the Darwin conversation.
This one has
All
a lot
right.
to do with. This one has a lot to do with Darwin.
Kevin and
If-
Dan can get together on a separate hangout sometime.
If North Korea launches nukes, Washington, the state, is not allowed to have an evacuation plan.
What the fuck?
What do you mean they're not allowed?
Despite the constant threat and missile tests coming out of North Korea, emergency management officials in Washington state said they are prevented from forming an evacuation plan in the event of a nuclear attack. Quote, state law does not allow any advanced planning, says Karina Shangren with the Washington State Emergency Management Division.
So
You know what? That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit because that's the entire purpose of emergency fucking management.
Yeah,
That's
right.
their entire fucking purpose in life. So saying that they're not allowed advanced fucking planning is a lie.
No, advanced planning of a nuclear attack.
They already have that shit on a shelf somewhere.
I bet.
RCW 38.52.030 passed in 1983 says, quote, the comprehensive all-hazard emergency plan authorized under this subsection may not include preparation for emergency evacuation or relocation of residents in anticipation of a nuclear attack.
You know what? They'll probably pull a fucking flood plan or something else and just copy it. I mean,
Yeah, FEMA has one for the area already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
but I don't.
And-
If there
like-
was a real nuclear strike, I don't think they'd have to worry about it. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, right. Yeah, because
Just-
shit's just gonna be chaos for people. People aren't even gonna follow a fucking plan. They're just gonna be like, "Yo, I'm out of here."
Now,
So, and-
I don't.
If they
I
don't die.
understand the hysteria about this in regards to North Korea because they fucking like didn't their last missile test like
it went like
completely
30.
fail?
It went like their last long range missile went like 39 miles and crashed.
Yeah.
No, not even, dude. Like I heard it went less than that, and it was like real. Like just
No,
the
there
other
is
day
that-
they had another one.
There's that
There-
Wile E. Coyote fucking gif
Yeah.
about it with like Kim Jong Un. Oh man, that shit was fucking gold.
That was a good one there. Okay, and for shits and giggles,
Yeah.
the law was
There's
written by a Democratic state lawmaker, Dick Nelson.
North Korea's
Of course,
technology
fucking
is very subpar, but they don't have the technology right now to do what they fucking threaten to. However,
Yeah, exactly.
they are trying, and that's the point. And eventually, they'll fucking get
Yeah.
there, if not stopped. But I'm not saying we should stop them. I'm just saying that they're just going to fucking keep going until that little fat motherfucker gets
I would
thrown
think that
off.
like if the United States wanted to be smart about it and they really wanted to take them out, like they should learn from their past mistakes and sending ground troops into a country and like wiping out a whole bunch of people. They should probably do covert ops and like take them out with like a tactical team or something.
You mean
would
like they've
think.
been doing all over Central and South America for however long?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's
Don't
there's
even
like the
gotta- wait.
CIA jackals that get shit like that done.
CIA operates in South and Central America?
No.
We don't know anything about that. Kevin and I, we don't know anything about
People
any
just
of
like
that
die in
shit,
airplane crashes all
for
the
the
time, you
record.
know.
Hashtag please don't join me.
Scratch
Don't
that,
join me, bro.
NSA guy.
Well,
Don't
have you
join me,
guys
bro.
ever read the book or seen the documentary called Confessions of an Economic Hitman by what the hell is his name?
No, it's on my list.
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it yet.
John Perkins maybe or something along those lines. But he talked about that, how there's like 3 stages. Like they'll negotiate with somebody if they're not installed by the United States or whatever, the military industrial complex, so to speak, whatever. The real controllers of this country. If they're not installed, then they'll try and negotiate with the dude and try and say, okay, well, if you allow us to put, military base or ports or whatever in your country, then we'll give you this in exchange, whatever. They try to negotiate. If the person doesn't negotiate, then they send them the jackal teams to try and take them out. If that doesn't work, then they send in ground troops.
Yep.
But he said it's like, it's all a lot of it's, based on, corporate greed and all that. And he gets into all that, how that fuels the machine essentially. So it's pretty interesting.
It
I think
sounds
that
like
he's
it.
got
It
a
is on my reading list.
he's got a documentary, I think, on YouTube. It's on there. It's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It's good.
Nice.
The secret history of the American Empire.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, I mean, what's his name? Smedley Butler talked about it, back in way back, like in the 30s. He talked about how it was like corporations, sending them into South American countries and Central American countries to, take over the sugar plantations and, whatever else, for corporate seizure essentially. And he was like way high up in the Marines. He was like, one of the highest dudes. Yeah, exactly. And he was the dude that they tapped him to try and pull a coup on FDR, and he wouldn't go along with it. And he, blew the whistle on the whole entire thing. And FDR didn't prosecute the bankers that were behind it and funding it, because they were like, oh, well, you're in the middle of a Great Depression right now. Do you really want us to make the country worse, or are you just going to let us go? You know what I mean? So they ended up getting away with a failed coup attempt. And I forget what the hell that was called. There's a name for it. But if you look up, Smedley Butler United States coup attempt, and it'll come up. Pretty interesting history though.
Yeah, Smedley, man.
Definitely
I read quite a bit of his work, and he's definitely opened some eyes.
Yeah, dude, he was a
especially written 90 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, he was like the real deal. You know what I mean? He was like a real American. You know what I mean? He gave a shit. You know what I mean? He saw the treason that was within the government and exposed it.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, but his stance on the reasons that America goes to war is.
Oh yeah,
it's the same. It's the same reasons that anarchists and libertarians and Ron Paul and those sort of people are touting right now. It's the reasons for the federal government to go to war is the same as it always has been, right? It's corporate greed. It's for God, for gold, oil, drugs.
Yep.
And the reasons to avoid it are the same reason. The unconscionableness of the reasons that we go to war right now is the list. The list is humongous, right? The reasons to go to war, the reasons not to go to war, but we still go to war because the federal government's corporate sponsors say go to war.
And because people need an external enemy to unify them and to keep them begging you to steal from them in the name of fucking protecting them.
All I fucking know is that what they tell you why we're going to war is not the real reason.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah, never.
Yeah.
And the funny
Never.
thing is, I was telling Jason about this, and I read an article about how North Korea is now producing opium to supplant the coal sanctions that were put on them by, I believe, China.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's cutting the deep state's profit of running opium out of Afghanistan. You know, if they sack North Korea and start pumping opium out of North Korea as well, they got a Afghanistan 2.0, you know, sitting there ready to go. And it's kind of sad because it's like, that's a perfect way to destabilize the population, is to get them hooked on drugs, like the British did that shit to the Chinese back in the day when they took over control of China after like the empire fell and whatnot.
And it gives them a boogeyman. It gives them something else to hate other
Well,
than you.
I have a perfect quote for that, and it's funny because I was like looking that quote up. It's a H.L. Mencken quote, and it says, "The whole aim of practical politics is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, all of them imaginary."
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should probably read him sometime.
Oh, he's amazing.
Look up
I don't-
on Facebook a page called "I fucking love H.L. Mencken."
Yeah. No, I know, and I need to go and like it and follow it. I've been meaning to. I just
That's run by my buddy Cameron. He's an Aussie.
Nice.
nice.
I'm actually admin on that one too. So go follow.
There are a lot of Australian anarchists.
Yeah, dude.
There are.
That's weird.
It's weird.
That's
The
cool,
US
though.
I think-
and Australia.
I think a lot of the Australian ones they see it because they lived through the firearms gun control laws and the firearms confiscation, and they see the heavy-handedness of the state.
Is there
Well, not
is
only
it
that,
like a
dude, it's like,
coincidence that we're like the colonial like settlements of Britain that became independent nations, and I mean, is there some correlation there? Like,
Calm down. You're not pleasing the crown.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's different for Australians because their whole political system is set up different. It's mandatory for them to vote.
Jesus Christ.
They have a parliament, don't they?
Yeah, and it's weird. Like, I don't know. My friend Cody was explaining it to me, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it doesn't.
Doesn't Australia have
Kitty
like
cat got
a
out.
2-to-1 female to male ratio? Hi, Heisenberg.
What's up?
Hello.
Get
I'm
in.
gonna hear dog freak out.
Yeah. He's sacked out on his blanket.
I brought my cat to you guys.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so true about the whole like hobgoblin thing. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's always a fucking new boogeyman. You know what I mean? It was the Russians, and then once the USSR fell, it was terrorists, and it's like, it's always somebody new. And then now that we're helping the terrorists, it's Russia again.
And we see the results every day. Let's tie this back to things that triggered status say. We see the results of this every fucking day. When some status says, "Oh, but who would protect us from foreign invasion?" You have been so conditioned to fear the people who live inside other imaginary lines in the dirt. Like there's some kind of fucking boogeyman that you think you require this coercive enterprise, this coercive power of government to keep them away, to save you from them.
Yeah.
We see it every day, don't we? How many times do you see people say, "Oh, but how would you deal with foreign invasions?"
Well, see,
When was the last time America
But the
was
real
fucking
question
invaded?
is,
exactly.
for God's sakes, who would build the roads?
Right. Well, if we stopped building roads, they wouldn't be able to invade because they'd have to walk through terrain.
Now you're thinking
Depends
on how
logic.
you define
Yep, yeah, you're
invasion.
thinking.
Yeah, murders still happen in prison.
Well,
Right,
see,
so-
I wouldn't say that, like, nobody's gonna fucking attack anybody if government had existed, but it would be
No, I know.
it would be way more manageable because you don't have the resources pooled to have a supply line to run an army for fucking 10 years in a country. You know what I mean? It's like that shit wouldn't be logistically possible.
Right. I said it on Twitter today, and I got a whole bunch of new followers out of it. I said government brings more violence into this world than it could ever pretend to prevent.
Well, it's
ever.
based on violence. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes, it is. Everything it does is
it's
is
very
violence.
existence.
But I mean, just the obvious, like wars.
oh yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well,
I
that's why
mean-
I kind of use that as like a thing to point out to people because it's like the
Yeah.
easiest for them to grasp. Really, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Here's some food for thought. We have dozens of shiny coins getting flashed in our faces. And
Mhm.
we hear about North Korea. We hear about Russia. We hear about ISIS. We hear about Al Qaeda. We hear about all these different groups and all this stuff is going on.
America has become agoraphobic
Hold
as a
on.
nation.
Who have we not heard of?
There's a couple groups I can think of.
Well, there's one in particular I'm thinking of.
Are you thinking of the one I'm thinking of that like pretty much owns and operates our government under like secrecy kind of like
Well, I don't know.
through APAC and you know
I know which one Dan's thinking of.
Mossad
Well,
Mossad getting our raw intelligence straight from the NSA.
Well, not necessarily the Mossad, but I was actually talking about the Hezbollah.
Oh,
Oh,
well
they're
them too.
huge.
Well, see, the
They're
whole thing is
fucking
that
huge.
the Israelis created Hezbollah, and oh wait, no, not Hezbollah. They created Hamas. My bad. But yeah, you don't hear a whole lot about Hezbollah either. But they're
And they're
also
a
kind of
fucking-
like a.
They're
They're
a
also-
global operation. They will fucking stomp on ISIS.
Yeah, they're like a
Yeah.
global crime syndicate.
And we don't hear shit about them. Well, I do, but you guys don't.
Right.
Well, see, the whole thing is Iran has connections. They're like like the proxy group for Iran and those countries essentially to kind of ward off Israeli expansion in Lebanon and countries like that. But
They're all
also-
over South America. They're all over this
Really?
country. They're all over the fucking Sahel. They're all over
African
Africa.
continent.
They're everywhere.
Hezbollah.
no shit.
But they're
huge.
not doing. They're not necessarily doing terrorist operations. They're doing funding operations and
drug ops, things like that. Like, yeah, anything that makes.
So it's
money.
like they're like doing like mafia shit essentially.
Yeah, they're a global
Yeah,
crime
yeah.
syndicate.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, they're like a government.
Yep.
yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Cocaine for Muhammad.
The only thing
Yeah, but
that
I mean-
makes them, they're basically a government. The only thing that differentiates them from any like sanctioned and recognized government is they don't have a fucking piece of dirt to call their own and dominate the people
yeah.
who live on that particular piece of dirt. That's the only
Well,
thing.
aren't
that
they like
difference.
they were essentially like
But
originally based out of Lebanon though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still have a geographical monopoly. It just doesn't have official, recognized UN arbitrary
Right.
lines.
Right.
So
Well, I mean,
still
they're all
still a government.
scumbags in my eyes. I mean, like fucking whoever you want to, Hamas, Hezbollah, any of those groups that dominate shit through
But
violence.
they're no
and-
more scumbags than our own fucking
But
government.
these guys, these
They're all
Hezbollah guys-
Well,
coercive
that's-
enterprise.
They're not.
Oh,
fucking
the
sitting-
same lot, all of them.
They're not sitting around with IEDs. These motherfuckers are
They're proactive.
actually controlling fucking missiles and stuff.
Yeah.
What the hell? Sorry, guys.
Hey guys, I'm gonna bounce. It's getting late for me. I had an early day, and I have an early day tomorrow.
No.
But keep on rolling. I'll be back. I'll
right, brother.
I'll pop back in.
I gotta go too.
Okay. All right. How do we turn
How do
this
we-
off? Like,
How do you?
How do we? Yeah. Without you.
How do
Mark.
you continue?
No, how do we
No,
stop?
I got it, man.
How do we stop recording when we're done?
I got it. I'll get it. I'll be back on before that.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, Mark.
All right.
So within the
See you
next
all in a
Melissa's gonna
little
be-
bit.
Melissa's going to be joining us here in a few minutes too. She's putting the kids down.
Yeah, the next hour. I'll be back on in the next hour.
All right.
Right on,
Hey,
right on.
Love you.
Tell Kevin thank you.
They said
Yeah,
thank
thanks,
you.
Kev.
He
Good
said,
talking to you, brother.
blah, 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 blah,
Blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah.
blah.
We couldn't hear him. We couldn't hear him through the mask.
But that's crazy, dude. I didn't know anything about what he was talking about.
What's that?
I said, hopefully, I'm not saying dumb shit.
No, you're
No, you're not, Kevin. We like you.
They said they like you. You're not saying dumb shit. They like you. So.
I love having him
I
on
told you
because of his
guys,
perspective
Kevin,
on things. You know what I mean?
Kevin knows more about this shit than anybody else I know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it's great having him on because he adds a totally different perspective on things than like any of us understand because he's
He's more in the know
oh yeah,
Can
totally.
due to his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm gonna adjust here for a sec, and then I'm gonna carry you guys out to the garage with me and smoke.
all right.
So you carry on while I fiddle with my business.
We gotta. Melissa's putting the kids down right now. She's gonna join us in a few minutes.
All right, so while
So-
we're waiting, I was going to cover this story real quick about the Pope saying to look out for the invasion of libertarianism.
Yeah. Because
Oh
we're
my
gonna
God,
take over the
I
world and
saw
leave
that.
people alone.
I know, dude, it's terrible. I mean,
Oh.
it's antithetical to globalism. I mean, in the sense that
How dare people advocate a Christ-like tolerance for fucking everybody?
wow, that's crazy, right? Treat others as you want to be treated.
Yeah.
That's fucking
And
that's
geez,
blasphemy.
I posted that on my page earlier, or yesterday. I posted it, and you would think I had kicked the puppy. It was people jumping to his defense. Well, if you're not a Catholic, you don't have any way or any place to talk about the Pope and blah 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 blah. I'm like,
Oh my God,
the
what?
fuck are you fucking talking about?
Fucking what?
I'm sorry, but the dude's the head of a child molesting syndicate. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
He's-
Like,
He's a global socialist.
yeah, he's a scumbag,
Yep.
dude. Totally. I didn't get any flack from anybody. I was like, I pretty much said that like I wanted to see the Vatican burn to the ground. Like nobody said anything to me about it.
Well, that's because you didn't do it on Jeremy's page,
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I should try that out next time.
right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Catholics in New York. That'll be fun.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you
I
guys for a
grew
second.
up. I was in a fucking Catholic choir growing up. You know what I mean? Like I went through that whole experience and saw how like flawed that whole shit was, and like just the weird vibe I got from being in that church. It's just like I don't know, weird. But it's not like and I'm not anti-religion or anything. Well, I'm not. Let me correct myself. I am anti-religion. I'm not anti-spirituality or anti-believing in God or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Just anti-organized religion. I can dig that.
Exactly,
That's
because
how I feel.
in my mind, it's a belief system, it's a control system, it's mind control. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing as
And it's all as interpreted by human beings.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't fucking trust you.
like you got to find your own inner truth, and that's what exists to you essentially.
Yeah, it's I feel the same way. It's I believe in spiritualism. I feel spiritual when I do certain things, or versus when I do other things. But
There's
I have
something
no
bigger
issue
than
with
us.
I have no issue with religion as long as it's not being pushed on anybody else or used
Yeah,
to
exactly.
justify
Right.
or used to justify the oppression of anyone else.
Yep.
Right.
Which is exactly what the Pope is doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, dude, he studied what is it? Liberation theology. Like the same shit that the dude preached at like Obama went to church, like at his church when he was in Chicago or whatever. You know what I mean? It's
Robert Wright.
yeah, exactly.
Reverend Wright,
And it's
whatever.
They
yeah,
call
it's like
it
that whole like
liberation.
socialist, like it's crazy. And he's very
I do
he's a
not
big
think
advocate
that word
of
means
central.
what you think it means.
What was that?
Liberation. I said I do not think that
Yeah.
word means what you think it means. Liberation.
Yeah, not at all. It's
Yeah.
one of those Orwellian terms.
All right.
But yeah, I mean he's totally like, an advocate of central planning, central government, like world central government. And it's ridiculous because it's like once things get that centralized, if something goes wrong, you have no way of correcting a crisis. You know what I mean? It's going to go global.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at least like I mean, and I don't advocate statism. I don't advocate nationalism. I don't advocate globalism. I don't advocate any of that shit.
Individualism only.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
promote decentralize everything, down to the individual self-governance, and then try and build it back up from a grassroots standpoint at that point. You know what I mean?
Not only because are you the only one that you're responsible for, but you're
Yeah.
the only one who can actually control you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yourself is the only thing you can control. So
Well, yeah,
all the rest of
you're
it's
the
natural.
the individual. Like I myself, I'm the only one that I control. I'm the only one that I have the right to speak for, and
Except for
I'm
my
the only
kids.
one that
My kids, I can control them to a certain extent.
my kids are 17 and changed. I can't control them
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
See, well,
we're
the whole
talking
thing is that
4-year-old, 9-year-old.
the kid gloves need to come off. You know what I mean? People need to grow the fuck up. And
Yes.
you know, if we can do that, then we can organically build the world that we want to see. You know what I mean? Through individual action.
Yeah,
And
it's-
like, you know, people coming together and unifying as individuals and getting shit done. You know what I mean? And like without the state inhibiting our actions and our ability to create a better world, it would be so much fucking easier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the government exists because people are too fucking immature to put
Well,
their
that's what
own
I mean.
feelings aside, and do
yeah, and
good things together, even with people they dislike.
Well,
And
that and they
instead
kind of like
instead of-
promote that culture too, because it's like that
Right.
kind of feeds the system's need, like, you know, feeds its need to exist.
Right.
yeah, we need to be more concerned with leaving better people for the planet than a better planet for the people.
Yes.
Yeah. The planet will work itself out.
Mhm.
The planet is naturally balancing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been here far longer than humans,
Yeah.
or any innovation of mammals that we currently have. It's been
Yeah.
here a long fucking time.
And everything that human beings have created, eventually, given enough time and enough natural forces, becomes a part of the earth again.
It turns back. Yeah,
No matter what. No matter what.
erosion is
Yeah,
real.
definitely.
We can't create things that don't exist. We can only create things from things that are already on this fucking planet.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Mother Nature made the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
You know,
Mother Nature could wipe us off the face of the earth if, you know,
Yep.
really wanted to flex its muscle.
Yep. Shake us
Yellowstone
off like
goes, we're
fleas,
fucked.
just like George Carlin said.
Oh yeah, totally, dude.
It's gonna
Shake us off like fleas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not to say that I'm not for stewardship. I am all for stewardship because it's fucking smart.
Yeah, but see, the whole thing is that
But
people have.
collective, forceful stewardship, fuck no.
No,
With
not,
that,
not,
with
not collective. I'm all for stewardship. I'm all for recycling. I'm all for freely choosing to live a lifestyle with a smaller carbon footprint and a more sustainable way.
Yeah.
More
If you
power
eat
to you
carbon's
if you
fine.
can. Right?
Yeah.
More power to you. If you can grow your own food, if you can, harvest your own chickens and own eggs and all that good stuff. Have an electric car, fantastic. All the power to you. But trying to force others to live that way is the very definition of oppression.
Yeah, don't pretend that it's viable for everybody because it's not.
Yes.
And that's elitist bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cows fart, so we got to.
and it's not so much a matter of viability, because it's like, you know what I mean, forcing everybody into the same box and making them conform to it is like, it's antithetical to freedom. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have the fucking choice anymore.
Well, it's a violation of natural law. It really is. Some people don't believe in natural law. I do. There are things that you can find that are universal across all species. Nothing wants to fucking die. Nothing wants to be eaten.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? These are every creature on Earth is an autonomous being, except for humans and the animals that they have fucking
Domesticated.
domesticated. Or put in zoos or whatever. It's just humans.
Well, we do to
Have
the
this
animals what we do to
fascination.
ourselves. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not a vegan. I'm not saying that because of veganism. I mean,
No, I don't
livestock-
either. But I mean, we do
Yeah.
live on factory farms, essentially. You know what I mean? Like when you break it down, it's, slave tax factory farms.
Well,
yeah.
and why does that exist? Because of government
Well, of course,
interfering in the marketplace, stifling innovation, holding back creation, holding back innovation, holding back the ability to move forward. Right? We have if hemp was a widely grown product, oil's gone.
Yeah,
Like big oil dies.
a lot of shit other than oil goes away, though, like pretty much like all the corporate entities that exist wouldn't need to exist at all because it'd be.
That's good because fuck DuPont.
Yeah, no, dude, like all the agrochemical businesses would go out, like all the or all like not all the pharmaceutical companies would go out, but like it would supplant a lot of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, even the pharmaceutical companies would take a huge hit, and some
yeah.
would go out of business due
totally.
to their practices and people voting with their wallet. But
I like to break it down to first principles. Go ahead,
it all goes down to first principles. Like big farm, big corp, big ag, they all exist because the government stifles competition.
Oh, totally.
Exactly.
Right? And through regulation and taxes and bureaucracy and protectionist laws.
Yeah.
Eliminate
and the whole
that.
thing comes down to the whole thing comes down to a belief in positive rights, that positive rights exist, that you have a right to push yourself into the sphere of rights around another human being and violate them, and that you have a right to do that.
Which is total bullshit.
Where all of it fucking stems from.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
absolutely all of it. Negative rights are the only ones that we can logically
claim
actually exist.
Well, see,
because even animals exercise negative rights. You fucking threaten me, I'm going to defend myself.
Well, that's exactly what I was just gonna say, because I always assume the stance of you don't have a right until you exercise it. Essentially, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not saying that you don't have a right, but you know what I mean. You do have the right to exercise it, but that right isn't exercised until it's exercised. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like non-existent until you act upon it.
Well, it's Schrodinger's rights until you defend them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it can be broken down even farther and just described it as freedom.
Yeah.
Right. Freedom. You have the freedom to do whatever you want.
Corrupted by this country.
Oh yeah, well, totally.
That word has been so corrupted by American nationalism. So fucking corrupted. People don't even know.
That is a huge fucking bug crawling up that stair rail behind you.
Yeah. There's always big bugs out here.
Dude's got her bugging out and shit.
No, it was a big bug.
No pun.
It crawling up the thing.
Yeah. There's always big bugs around here. Always huge ones.
It was getting ready to attack. I saved your life.
Must have been one of those swamps or one of those bugs that left the swamp after Trump drained it.
Yeah.
Wait, where were we on day 100? Still waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he do? He drained it of water that smells like shit and replaced it with water that smells like fucking feces.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that swamp got drained like the swamp of despair in the Never-Ending Story.
The bog of eternal stench.
Oh yeah, wait, and I'm still waiting for Hillary to go to jail.
Oh yeah. Hillary's still gonna go to jail, and there's still gonna be a wall, and Obamacare is gonna be repealed.
It's all gonna be good, folks. Just wait.
And concealed carry reciprocacy across the nation. Total. It's all gonna happen next week, right?
Well, hey, if it doesn't happen in his first 4 years, we can always vote for him again, and maybe you can get it on in the next 4.
Trust us. We're on TV.
Oh man, you know who's like one of the decent Congress people that I actually have respect for. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of her, Tulsi Gabbard. She's like probably the only Democrat that I agree with, which is weird because she's like one of those like old school kind of like liberals that like she's anti-war. She's a vet. And I'm pretty sure she saw time over in Iraq or somewhere, but I know that she was like active duty and everything, and she was the one that proposed the bill to stop funding terrorist organizations, and I don't know if they squashed that whole thing or not, but she introduced that.
I'm sure they did.
Because of the whole ISIS thing, because she was one of the only people to go and meet with Assad over in Syria and actually have a sit-down discussion with him and find out what his thoughts were on things and get his point of view. You know what I mean? Instead of like just assuming what the United States told everybody about, Assad and
You guys should ask Kevin
their
about
whole
that
propaganda
sometime.
line.
About
You
Assad.
guys
What was
should
that?
ask Kevin about that sometime.
We've talked
Yeah.
about Assad before, yeah.
Yeah.
And wasn't Assad like on the cover of Vanity Fair in like 2011?
Well, dude, the United States had fucking like black site prisons in Syria where they were doing rendition until Syria dropped the U.S. dollar to trade oil, and then they became one of the high interest target countries.
Assad was holding Syria together. Like he was big on religious tolerance. Christians were allowed to practice.
Yeah.
Sunnis and Shias allowed to practice. Jews allowed
Yeah,
to
the
practice.
Alawites.
As long as nobody attacked anybody else, he would lead them to practice their religion in peace.
It was kind of the same thing with Saddam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, sort of. Yeah.
I mean, he was a tyrant, but like you kind of have to be that way over in those countries because otherwise those people eat each other alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe we should let them though. I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
it's not our fucking problem, dude.
No, it's not.
That's what I always say, and I'm like, I wish the United States would stay out of everybody's business and just let them sort it the fuck out because we're wasting money, resources, human lives, all this shit
on an unwinnable fucking war.
Exactly.
Oh,
unwinnable.
And don't forget all the blowback from that.
Well, yeah,
from
that too.
Intervention.
But that just feeds the whole cycle. You know what I mean? That blowback is like, oh, well, you see, you need us to protect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's not a false flag and it's actually a legit terror attack because of blowback, then it's like that just justifies it even more. It's like
what's the I don't remember the quote, but it's something like government is good at breaking your leg and handing you a crutch and then saying, look, see, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have the crutch.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it is. Dude.
Or the other one, if a thing isn't broken, government will fix it until it is.
Yeah.
Dude, like somebody posted an article about how they were like they captioned it, don't ever ask me who's going to build the roads again, because it was like the headline of the article was government tears up road that it just built or something like that.
Yes, they
like,
rather than install a safety barrier, which would have cost like $200,000.
Yeah,
they spent $500,000 removing a road.
There you go.
Jesus.
Brilliance at its best.
Government, man.
Like, you want to waste money? You want to waste money? Create a government, dude.
And then meanwhile, there's
they'll squander the shit out of it.
A community in Hawaii on one of the smaller islands, like Lanai or something like that, that fucking fixed their own goddamn road because their government wasn't doing shit about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
So they got together and they fucking built the goddamn road.
And
Detroit,
that's
Detroit does that with the roads. New Hampshire, I've seen that with the roads up there. Philly, I've seen
Oregon,
them.
there's
Oregon.
anarchists in Oregon who are fixing the fucking roads.
Anarchists.
Yeah, anarchists. I think a lot of them are ACOMs, but still, it's a publicity. They're still proving that it can be done without government.
I'm all for voluntary action. I don't care what hyphen they put after it.
Yep.
If it's positive voluntary action, I'm all fucking about it. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to prove our case to people that things can be done a different way. And the government's going to, end up coming down and creating laws and being like, okay, well, you can't voluntarily do this anymore, like feed the homeless or whatever, because they don't want people to display compassion and show the world that there's a better way of doing things. You know what I mean? So they outlaw it from even being allowed. Because God forbid, people do things without, force.
Yeah.
That one story my buddy posted on the Tinfoil Crown, Matt posted it on there, about how some woman got arrested for feeding the homeless, right? And then was given community service work to do because she was feeding the homeless. I'm like, okay, so she was voluntarily doing a community service, and then you arrest her and force her to do a community service. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it's literally as useless as tits on a bull.
Totally, dude. It's like so insane you can't help but laugh at it. It's like you're almost reading an article from The Onion or something.
Am I taking crazy pills? What the fuck?
Yeah.
To shameless plug, to quote myself, There is nothing the government claims to do that we, through individual or communal voluntary action, cannot do for ourselves.
Exactly.
Jason, you're so smart.
But see, the whole
like,
problem is
lots
that
of
we've been
time.
kind of taught. I wouldn't say, I don't know, maybe, I guess the better word is to say we've been indoctrinated to not like get in tune with like our fellow neighbors and things of that nature. You know, and like, you know, people don't get out of their house and like, you know, communicate with their neighbors and try and like set things up in their community to make things better and like try and work
And
on
why
things
not?
voluntarily. Well, that's what I'm saying, because we kind
Why not?
of there is no reason not to, you know what I mean? But we've kind of been conditioned to be like, oh, don't talk to strangers, you know, and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, and
But
here's
it's
a
like
great
that's
example.
really what's going to break the barrier and break the ice and get us, you know, across that threshold to like making the fucking difference.
Yep, and you know what the Depression was giving rise to? Before the federal government started it like stepped into the charity game with like the alphabet soup laws and shit.
Yeah, the
Great Depression was giving rise to voluntary aid societies.
Yeah, and churches
Like
we're
like
doing charitable work as well, and they don't really do that anymore because they're 50,
like the Lions
501c3s.
Club and shit like that. You know, you could belong to these groups.
Yep.
And that's where you voluntarily socialized kind of like problems. Like you were a member of this group and it was understood if you're going to be a member of this club, if you can help somebody who's in the club who needs help, we expect you to help. And then when you need help, you'll be helped. But that was voluntary. People were organizing those all over the place.
Yeah, we call it.
The government stepped in and started doing it. And they started doing it by force and taking people's money for it. So people were like, well, what the fuck? I'm already being extorted to pay for this shit. I might as well just rely on that instead of paying more to be a member of this club.
Yeah, we call them MAGs, MAGS, mutual aid groups. Huge. Yeah. They're a big thing in the prepper world. You know, mutual aid societies, mutual aid groups, whatever you want to call them. And basically, I've used the example before, but it goes back to like the expansion of the West during right after the colonies, right? 4 or 5 families, they move, 200 miles out, and they each have their own section of land. They each farm their own section of land, and then there's like a community building where somebody might have like a general store, and there's a church and maybe a school, and everybody has a bell. And if anybody needs help, such as the Indians attacked or outlaws or there was a fire or whatever else, you go ring that bell and the other members of the group come and help.
Mm-hmm.
That's the exact same thing. It's
like Cell 411 now.
It's Cell 411, or it's the precursor to Neighborhood Watch, or a whole bunch. That stuff still exists. But because
Neighborhood Watch is a good idea if you don't have fucking snitches in your neighborhood.
Right.
power
you know what I mean? It's like if you know what I mean, if everybody's like mutually watching out for each other and they're protecting the community that way instead of like ratting each other out to the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unless you have one of those soccer moms with the I want to speak to your manager haircuts. You're fucked if you have one of those in your neighborhood watch.
Fuck that bitch. That's when I set up an agreement with everybody in the community that we're gonna burn her fucking house down.
It's democracy. Put it on it.
That's right, man. We all decided it's for the greater good.
Yeah, I trust the gang up the street in this neighborhood a lot more than I trust most of my neighbors or the police. Or whatever else.
Well, the fucked up thing about that is that like it kind of goes back to like the mafia style ethics. You know what I mean? Like they live by a code.
But they do because they operate outside of government. They have no other recourse. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They have to keep their word, or nobody will fucking do business with them.
Exactly.
And there's no protections. There's no bailouts. There's no nothing.
And guess what? Guess who set up one of the first soup kitchens in Chicago after the fucking Great Depression? It wasn't the government.
Yep.
It was Al Capone, man. I mean, whatever they want to say about the guy for tax evasion and all this other shit, it's like if you kind of look at it, like like that dude should kind of be looked at as like a, I wouldn't say a hero, but you know what I mean? Like in a way he was like,
He was
fuck you,
kind of
you
like
know
a
what I mean?
shepherd of the community, though. I mean,
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah, he had some
Yeah.
Robin Hood to him, and
Oh, totally, dude.
if it weren't for prohibition, if it weren't for the laws that were passed against people like him, I doubt he would A, be as famous, or B, that he
Yeah.
would have done as much damage as they say that he did.
Right.
Well, people left alone to their own vice are often just left alone.
Yeah.
They don't push.
Most
They
of
don't
the
put. They don't push it on
Right.
people, nothing like that. If
and
people,
most
if
of
people,
the
wanna-
damage that he did was because of the fight
Yes.
between him and the government.
absolutely,
Yeah.
it wasn't the moonshiners that poisoned like 100,000 gallons of alcohol
Yeah.
in order to get people to stop drinking it. How many fucking people died
Yeah.
from the government poisoning alcohol? Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show that, you know, human lives are expendable in their eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. And
You know what I mean?
it goes
Just
show
to
that
prove
you
a point.
shouldn't have religious nuts fucking ruling everybody else or having an extra loud voice in the body that
Yeah.
does rule everyone else.
Yeah, man.
anything to enforce the greater good.
And it wasn't even the greater good, like health wise. It was the greater good of society's conscience or
Yeah.
their souls, according to these few people
Yes.
who believe their souls were in peril. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like, who was it that said that the worst kind of tyrant are the ones who believe they're actually doing it for your own good?
I think it was C.S. Lewis or Tolkien.
I think it's
Yeah, I think
One of the two.
Tolkien's got a quote like that.
I know Tolkien
Yeah.
was an anarchist, though.
yeah.
So is Tolstoy.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I love Tolstoy. He's like one of my favorite Christian anarchists. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because like, you know what I mean? Like they're convinced that they're doing you a benefit
Absolutely.
when.
hi Mark.
Hey,
Oh, he put clothes on now.
Hey,
It's
Jason,
presentable.
by the way, I don't have my laptop with
a
me.
little bit.
Do we have any comments?
Nope. No comments on the chat.
Just from the waist up, right, Mark?
That's right.
That's
That's right.
hey, Dan, you were right on C.S. Lewis. It's of all tyrannies, a tyranny exercise. Okay, starting again. Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under
Yes.
robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber's
Yes.
baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity maybe at some point be cupidity maybe at some point be satisfied. Those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right on the money, dude. And he was a Christian too.
I fucking love that quote. But I can't remember who said it ever. I'm like,
See, I'm good with that shit. I don't know. I got
don't
like
do well with names.
I have a brain for like, I wouldn't say useless information, but like, I don't know. If like you said a quote, I'd be like, yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah, and my mind runs on like concepts and impressions of the whole. You know, and I can't, those details, like the name of who said it, that shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't stick with me.
No, I lose it sometimes too.
Mine mostly runs on whiskey and poor life choices.
And a little caramel.
My mind, that is.
My man.
And caramels on occasion.
That's right. It's like the super boost.
Speaking of poor life choices, I got one for you.
Here we go.
Yay!
My favorite.
South Dakota. This one
Oh
comes
yes, yes.
This one comes out of South Dakota. Michael Castile, 56, charged with 2 counts of obstruction for trying to rescue 2 cans of beer from a house fire.
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah.
All I can say is
we need to start a GoFundMe for him.
yeah, for real. Not all heroes wear capes, dude.
Not even
Buy us 2 cans
absolutely.
beer.
not even I wouldn't even call it beer.
Jeez.
I wouldn't even call it beer. It was Bud Ice Premium.
Hey, at least it was ice, so it would have
Ew.
still been cold in the fire. You know what I mean?
Whatever wets his whistle.
Like, you're gonna go back in for a fucking hot beer, dude? Come on, like, just go down
See,
to the convenience store, let your house burn, buy a fucking
For
12-pack.
real.
when fire broke out inside a
I mean,
home.
those beers better have some fucking sentimental value.
Yeah.
Like his dad gave them to him on his fucking deathbed or something.
Or he was like
Yeah.
saving them from like when his wife walked out.
Right? Or when he finally kicked her
Celebratory
out,
beers.
he was like saving those. Like he's been sober for 10 years. And he's saving these 2 beers for the day he finally had the courage to kick his fucking wife out. You know? They better have a good story attached to them.
Bitch better get to stepping. I want to drink my 2 beers.
Right?
All the man wanted to drink his 2 ice beers.
They lock him up for it. What kind of fucking sick world do we live in?
I mean, there's people who say things like, I would walk through fire for beer, and they don't really mean it.
He fucking literally did it.
This motherfucker, he
This dude,
Yeah.
his money where his mouth was.
Goddamn right he did.
A spokesman
Oh,
for the
man.
Sioux Falls Police Department slammed Castile's sub-saving heroics as an incident of, quote, poor judgment.
Oh, fuck that guy. What town is this?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
And what was the title of the person that said that?
It's news because he's like the treasurer and the VP of South Dakota. They only have 10 people.
He's being held on $300 bail.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got that. We can put that shit up.
Yeah, easy, dude.
$300 for 2 beers.
Maybe we can raise enough and get that guy a kegger.
Yeah.
I wanna go.
Get him a
I wanna
fucking
shake his
growler.
hand.
We'll get him a growler now that his house is burned down.
You can drink it on your stoop where your house used to be, bro.
And a tent.
Yeah, and a tent.
So,
Maybe
okay, wait. So the incident
Maybe
took
we'll
place
even
at
go large and get 'em like
12:30 p.m. on Sunday.
Send him a growler and a tent. In a fucking
A growler and a
gas
tent and an
stove.
inflatable mattress.
While first responders were busy treating residents at the scene, police say Castile pushed past officers and firefighters to repeatedly re-enter the burning multifamily residence. Eventually, he emerged from the house carrying
1 beer at a time.
Yeah,
2
right, like,
cans.
how do you not grab 2 beers on one trip?
Eventually, he emerged from the house carrying
A
2
fucking
cans
bag or
of Bud
He
Ice
wanted
Premium.
to- He had to fend off fucking fiery debris with the other hand.
Oh,
He's like strong arming fucking firemen to the refrigerator and shit.
This is where it gets really
I need
sad,
a
you guys.
Joseph life in here.
This is where it
Holy
gets really,
fuck,
really
man.
sad. This is the sad part of the article.
But
But the 56-year-old brew aficionado did not get to enjoy the cold one for all his labors because he was arrested on the spot, 2 counts of obstruction.
sad.
Aw.
Wow.
Sad
Wait, the
reacts
brew
only.
aficionado, but the dude was drinking Bud Ice.
Bud Ice
I think-
Premium.
Oh,
think
sorry,
that we're
premium.
misusing
That
the
does
word
make him
of-
an aficionado.
Can somebody read the
It's
definition
premium.
of the word aficionado, please?
He didn't even
Wait,
get
what
to
did you
enjoy
say?
the beer.
Bastards.
Oh. Yeah, that's fucked up, dude. I seen a picture of a
Man.
cop. There was a cop. He had the suspect in handcuffs, and he was even nice enough to give him a shot of tequila out of the Patron bottle.
I saw that.
Like,
That was
why couldn't he have
Nice.
one of those officers? You know what I mean? Let him drink his beers and send him to fucking jail. I mean, he put in the hard work for it.
I was just gonna say he fucking worked hard enough.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
and it
Jesus Christ.
took a whole 10 minutes for the firemen to put out the fire.
Oh man.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna say it took.
Well,
10
see, that
minutes to do
segues
it.
into a really good topic, Jason.
Yeah,
What's
speaking of fires and firefighters.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be right back in 1 second.
Wait for it, because you're gonna want to be in on this, Dan.
This is good shit.
Should we should wait for Melissa on this one actually.
Yeah.
Well, I figure we could get started, and if she's not here, we'll just fucking goad her into jumping on. But maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I talked to her a few minutes ago.
You said she was getting ready to get on like 37 minutes ago when I got off.
Yeah, that's what she told me at 7:56.
It says like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Time to start harassing. All right. Dan, welcome back.
So were you saying if it segues into a good topic? What?
Absolutely. It seems that a fireman had died tragically, and I'm not being sarcastic though, because I'm getting ready to be sarcastic. So
every death is tragic, especially if you're
absolutely.
doing something to help other people, regardless of.
I mean, you know, somebody loses a life. It's fucking tragic.
Yeah.
And well, apparently one of our good friends had made a post about the traffic in New York around surrounding this dead fireman's funeral, and how it had delayed him an hour or something like that. I don't remember the original post, but this was what, 2 days ago, 3 days ago?
Yeah, about that.
Yesterday.
I think it was on
and there are
Thursday or Friday, something like that.
Thousands and thousands of posts and conversations going on about this.
Like 10,000
people making
on that post. Yeah.
10,000 comments.
Yeah, and it got shared like
upset
1,500 times.
That our friend Jeremy made this post and have taken to personally attacking him on social media, pictures of his kids, and publishing his address and phone number and things of that nature, and have gone so far as to not only make death threats against him, but against people who agreed posted.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
And from what Melissa said, they're like stalking him now. Like,
right.
Like details of his like talking about his kids when they're out playing in the yard.
Yeah, I heard that. It's fucked up, dude.
Like they were parked outside his house. Yeah, they were parked outside his house because they did not like his opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His completely subjective opinion.
Well, that's America for you, baby.
Like America. A lot of these people are cops or thin blue line people. Aren't these terroristic threats?
Or firemen.
You have extra rights.
Not when they do it, though.
Yeah, not when they do it. It's okay when they do it.
Because they support the state, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's their job, to do.
Well, they take part in the, one of the largest terrorist organizations in the fucking world. So it's like, of course, that's going to be their stance on it.
Yeah.
I'll kill you if you don't agree with me.
Over 11,000 comments.
Fucking crazy, dude.
Jesus.
Like, I mean,
they're still going up.
Like, logically think about that, right? Like, you could either just keep scrolling and ignore something that you don't agree with, or you could send somebody death threats about their kids. Like
it's like there's no in between.
Which one is fucking more rational?
Yeah. Or even if you really disagree with me and hate me, just say, I fucking hate you. I think your opinion is stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And leave it at that.
You're a stupid
How
head.
hard is that?
Like, there's
a
lot of people that I don't fucking agree with in terms of their opinion, but I'm not gonna kill them for it.
No shit. I'm not even gonna threaten to kill them for it.
It's fucking crazy.
It's retarded.
But when people can like justify and rationalize that kind of mentality, it's we've gotten to a sick place in society, and I see a great divide between those of us who want freedom and strive for that in our lives as much as we possibly can without being fucking locked in a cage,
we want the world to actually be a better place for
yeah, exactly. And these people think that supporting the same system that made the world the way it is now is going to get them where they want to be, which is not pragmatic. It's not fucking intelligent. It's not any of those things. So it's like, well, so what, the people that are promoting a different way of going about things without force, without peaceful, like, coming together and trying to build a better world, are the fucking heretics? Like, how does that work?
Well,
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
we know that the ones on Jeremy's post were so triggered because he used the word parasites.
Yeah.
Like that's what fucking set them off. And you could tell them all day. There's an actual like epistemological argument to be made that that's an accurate fucking description.
Well, he could have called
And
them
sure-
welfare whores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
That's true. But and it is abrasive, you know.
well, it
and
is, but it's the truth.
It's gonna ruffle people who are in those professions. But he's not wrong.
no.
You know, I mean,
Like,
put your feels aside for a minute.
Well,
He's not wrong.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't disagree. His statement is not wrong. Although
I
I
wouldn't
think
have phrased it that way.
right. Well, I wouldn't have phrased it at all. I mean, I would have just grumbled like, "Man, it's fucking bullshit." You know, I guess
you know,
which any logical,
insensitive. There you go,
which-
insensitive.
yeah, which any logical and emotional stable person would have done.
Right.
Right?
And
They would have seen. They would have seen. Yeah.
Are you saying Jeremy's unhinged?
No.
No.
oh no, I think he misunderstood the way you were, you know.
I was
coming at that.
referencing the people commenting on Jeremy's post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark
yeah.
Mark was commenting from
Not the
Jeremy's point of
Podfather.
view of what he would have done if he was Jeremy.
Oh,
Right.
what Jeremy said, I don't think it needed to be said. Right? I subscribe to the think policy before posting and speaking and whatnot.
In my
Yeah,
perspective,
but what's
if
done
I
is
had
done.
been stuck-
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
if I
can't
had been
unthrow a
stuck
ball.
in the situation, right? And if I was stuck in the situation Jeremy was, what would bother me would be the pageantry and how a whole city gets locked down for one person's death. There are thousands of people who die every day who are huge heroes because they don't get paid to help people. They don't, you know, they do things out of the goodness of their heart. They make a difference in people's lives. And I'm not saying they're better or firefighters are, you know, deserving of empathy when they die, or, you know, of sorrow when they die. What I'm saying is it's ridiculous to exalt some people who work for a specific organization that steals your money, by the way. It's ridiculous to exalt these people to the level of fucking state funerals that lock down everything.
Right.
When there's so
And
many other
I don't
heroes in this world
disagree.
that get no.
Well, that's part of our
I mean, there's so many other heroes.
that kind of ties into our whole cultural indoctrination, though, that like we
there was a
exalt
guy
these
who
people.
broke back into, there's a guy who broke back into a burning house to save his beers, and he didn't get any kind of fucking parade.
He deserves his own
how do you
parade,
get
though.
arrested for breaking into your own house? You know,
Yeah, right.
that's what I'm saying.
There she is.
Sorry,
Hello, everyone. How's it
I
going?
didn't mean to cut you
What's
off,
happening?
Dan. Good. Sorry, Dan, for cutting you off. You were saying something smart, and I had to make a joke.
Oh no.
Can we
I
just
was
be
just-
serious for 1 minute, you guys?
Do it. You were on that thread, so
I
you
don't
take
know what that
over.
means.
Say what
No,
you
no,
wanna
no,
say.
Dan, what were you saying? Make your point.
I was just saying, like, it's part of our cultural indoctrination that they do that kind of thing, where they do like a whole ceremonial shit show for people that are, you know, agents of the state, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh well, you know, they're a
They
representative.
don't do it for secretaries. They don't do it for garbage men.
No.
They don't do it for the National Parks Forest Service guy.
They don't do it for pediatric emergency doctors that save children's lives all day, every fucking day.
Yeah, but do they work for the government?
No, they don't, and that's why they don't do it for them.
Well, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
When you have
I'm
those
not
kind of
I'm not knocking military deaths or any of them. You know what I mean? It's like
But
I
they
pay my
want the
respect to
public
people.
to feel it more. They want the
Exactly. That's
Exactly.
what I mean. That's
To
what I mean by
feel
it's
more
a part of our
sorrow.
cultural indoctrination. Like they
create
have
a
the fucking-
ceremony so that people recognize what it means, right? Like they're supposed
Yeah.
to be compelled to
And create,
what it
right.
represents.
and
Yeah.
create an
I mean, it's the
exalted
same-
class that is to be worshipped.
Yeah, and it's the same thing like for sporting events where they have the military come out and do the whole fucking, you know, shenanigans
Yeah.
before the thing and the flyover and
When
it's
they
like,
didn't
you know,
used to.
no,
Gotta
not
get
at
those
all.
young
It's all part of
fans.
our
That's
cultural
because they're
indoctrination of like
paid.
a military
The fed-
society.
The federal government pays those sports teams to do that.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
And
Dude.
the state governments and local governments subsidize building their fucking stadiums.
Oh
I
totally.
mean, the NFL is like fucking eyebrows deep in government.
Well, not only that, but like I was watching the NFL draft the other night, and I'm like watching this, and I'm like, this is like a glamorized slave trade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what it is. You know what I mean? Like different teams.
It's like the Coliseum. It's bred.
Yeah, they're
Well, that too, yeah.
gladiators. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
and football is very like military, like in its
Foosball the devil,
like,
Bobby
symbolism.
Boucher.
You know what I mean?
And
It's like-
another
it's like
reason
two
for
teams-
people to hate other people that they don't even know.
Well, yeah. It's rooted in tribalism. You know what I mean? Because it's like my team versus your team,
Yeah.
of course. And then
Right.
you have that, and then stacked on top of it, you have like the kind of the military aspect of like two armies going to war against each other. And that's kind of like how they portray it.
Right.
So I don't know.
And
It's
Sayers and I
pervasive.
talked
Like
about that
the
a
whole
lot.
like military mindset is pervasive throughout our whole entire culture in the United States.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And especially too, since it's
Totally.
generational, right? Like everyone's
Yeah.
got a grandfather or an uncle or a great grandfather, or and like for me personally, I've had military members that we can count up to Civil War, and all my cousins and all my aunts and uncles, they all joined because that's what you do, or what I
Exactly.
mean? Like it's a norm,
Right. And my biological family military service goes back to the American Revolution.
Right.
I have the application and everything and all the genealogy stuff.
You're going to be a
Decided
daughter.
Daughters of the American Revolution. Like I can do that, and it's a thing. It's tradition.
Yeah.
It's the government is so tied into the American family, and vice versa. And you're right, Dan. It's tribal mentality, all of it, or as I like to call it, collectivism.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Stupid.
And it's fucked up because it's like it's almost human nature for us to be tribal, in a sense.
Yeah.
But
they perverted it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I made a post earlier today that like I have no problem with voluntary segregation. If people want to associate with whoever they want to associate with, if they want to be racist by themselves or whatever, just don't bring that shit around me, and don't try and force it on other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when you try and force segregation like they did, the past, people are going to boycott that, whatever. You
Well,
do it
all it does is
voluntarily and you want to be
it covers
assholes
up
in
a
your own
rotten
little
core.
group. Yeah.
And it completely shuts down the dialogue. People are all of a sudden forced and by the state to comply with these rules when they were never one, they never agreed to them, but also two, now they're forced to go along with it, so they're even more gonna not agree with it, and that's all that did.
And what I find really
absolutely.
interesting is that forced segregation and forced inclusion
Mhm.
have the exact fucking same effects.
Exactly.
yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
The
horseshoe
exact
theory.
same
Absolutely.
effects.
The horseshoe theory.
Yeah, horseshoe theory. That's-
Yeah. I never.
The further
heard of
the
that. Okay.
extreme, the closer the.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Holy
very true.
moly! What day is it,
Alright,
guys?
Just make people hate each other.
So
What?
let's get back on this thread of Jeremy's, you guys.
Yeah.
I said, what day is it?
You
Sunday.
One of
little
them.
bit, little bit fucking warrior princess out there slinging logic like it's
Did
a
you-
broadsword.
Did you see this last comment that I was involved in?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so someone came on and was like, fuck you, you're just a dog walker, whatever. And so I started engaging him, right? And he actually started talking to me and he was like, okay, well then how do the roads get funded, And then, and I didn't mock because I get it, because a lot of these people have no idea. And I think this guy's a Democrat, but whatever. But no, so Jeremy jumped in, and instead of attacking Jeremy and saying, fuck you, you're just this and that, they started like they were having a dialogue currently, and they're able to like discuss this. So it's like, okay, but yeah, Mama Anarchist is wiped the fuck out. I'll tell you that much.
I bet.
I believe it.
Yeah, I've
Well,
been at this
I only
since
said-
Thursday.
Yeah, since Thursday afternoon. Yeah, it's been.
I've only commented on a couple because I just can't keep up with the rest of it,
Right.
Yeah, same here.
But
I commented like
Yeah.
today, but
Yeah,
like the whole thing.
And
the whole
thank
thing
you for
is
your
that-
service, you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry, I just can't even.
Jason and I were
It's okay. There are plenty of people fighting the good fight. It's totally okay. It's insane. It's
You guys-
fucking insane.
And speaking of
Mark
people
I mean-
fighting the
maybe
good
he needs a
fight,
pumpkin spice latte.
What's that?
Perhaps.
Jason and I were talking prior to the show, and he was pointing out how it's a really good thing that like anarchists from like all colors, all
All
hyphens,
walks of life.
so to speak,
Yep.
are coming together over this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, we need to realize that we need to put all our bullshit aside, and we have more in common than we have, than not in common, So,
Right.
if we can come together over that and understand that, like, our mutual enemy, so to speak, is the state, which is,
Right.
it's fucking
Yes.
quite obvious.
Right.
Maybe we can
It's
actually
the
get
first
some.
priority, anyways. I mean,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
fuck's sake.
And like,
Sort
maybe
the
we
rest
can.
of it out later.
Yeah, maybe we can set like all the petty shit aside of like, debating on economics and all this fucking shit that's not getting anything done, right?
Which is all just it's all crystal ball
Exactly.
fucking distraction. People trying to look into the fucking future and
Right.
argue about what's gonna happen.
Arguing the different aspects of anarchism is arguing collectively.
Or which is the right way to anarchy. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Like the world,
There is no right way.
the shot heard around the world was Jeremy's post, which started World War III, which all the anarchists united over.
Hey man,
Right.
11,000
whatever it takes,
That's right.
I'm all for it. You know what I
11
mean?
over
Thank you for your service,
11,000
Jeremy.
comments.
Yeah.
Because I saw
Yeah.
between like last year when I like really started heavily getting involved with like like activism and stuff. I mean, I was involved before that, but you know what I mean.
But
like
being more
before
vocal.
Yeah, I mean, before I linked up with like all you guys and stuff, like, it was like there was a lot more unity around this time last year, right?
Yeah.
And then like towards the time of the election, it got very divisive.
Mm-hmm.
And like
residual
people like
citizen
started
kick.
going into their own separate camps, and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll kill you, and we're gonna fucking kill you." You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah,
the
you gotta
ANCOMs versus the
know.
ANCAPs, and
You're not an
And then-
anarchist, and
yeah, and
we're
and
gonna
it's
throw
like,
you from a
I'm glad-
helicopter bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I pray.
Ah,
that
joke's
one
on
day
them.
that,
I'm too fat to get in a helicopter.
Like I just want to see people drop their bullshit, and like we can actually get
Bring
something
it.
fucking done and start moving
Yes.
forward with
Yes.
this shit. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Because it's like
Right.
because we need to start coming up with solutions. We need to start implementing like voluntary action.
We need
Peacefully
Anarchy
and-
Island.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like
Gotta
something
start
like we
it
got.
somewhere.
We can
Yeah, we gotta
operate
start-
from there, you guys.
We're gonna voluntarily segregate ourselves.
I'm all
You guys
for
want to build
But
like
we'll be a shining beacon of what freedom can be to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
We can
exactly.
It'll
Oh, I
be
agree.
performance art piece.
Right.
we can build like a Koresh compound 2.0. What could go wrong with that? You know what I mean?
Wait, did you say a Koresh compound or a Kokesh
Yeah.
I
compound?
don't want either
Oh,
one.
No,
I don't
No,
want
it-
either one. Thank you.
No empty parking lots. No empty parking lots.
An and family.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we gonna have a parking lot in the front? Because
No, we're gonna have a moat.
moat, yeah.
I want a parking lot. 'cause
Piranhas
we're
with
about to get busy.
lasers and shit.
How about we have a
Also
really
known as
cool
the
like
ocean.
garage? You don't need a parking lot. We should have a really cool like secret hidden garage somewhere. You know, kind of like
Dude.
Batman. You know how you
Have you
drive
guys
into the
seen the
waterfall
ones-
and all of a sudden you're in this like underground compound.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need a
Or
we
like
need
the
a
hell-
ones
But
that like store your car in an underground parking like structure thing. That's cool.
But if
shit.
we're gonna
I've
have a
seen it.
compound, we have to have the bookcase that like with the hidden doorway and shit.
Oh,
Hell yeah!
Oh,
you
yeah,
pull
and a
the
secret
candlestick.
lab.
Hell yeah, Mr. Wayne, you got the right idea.
And
Well,
I get
I'll
the
have-
secret lab for all my herbal
Well,
tinctures.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say
That
I was
may
gonna
or
say
may
Heis-
not contain certain psychedelic
Compound.
substances.
I get the kitchen.
I was gonna
I
say
get the kitchen.
Heisenberg
Can
needs
we
his own
agree?
lab.
Yeah, I need a
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I need a helicopter pad for my flying car.
Look, you guys,
Yeah.
we're creating our own life voluntarily, and we're agreeing.
Spontaneous
I
order.
know. It's
Spontaneous order.
beautiful.
Spontaneous order,
Spontaneous order.
madness.
What is that?
Yeah, so,
Jason, Dan, and I'll bring the memes.
Goddamn right we will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have memes like framed all over the compound, like a art gallery.
I love it.
We could have like a meme walk,
A
know?
meme walk.
Like,
Yes.
like an art walk, but memes.
Oh, how about
I-
a meme treasure hunt? A meme treasure hunt. Yeah,
There you go.
that would be
That would
awesome.
talk.
Our economy would be very strong.
Right?
You have to have- you
One of
have-
the
you have to
strongest
have,
in the
like,
world.
There's gotta be like one of those hedge mazes You know, we can name it
There
like
you go.
praxeology, and we can have like human behaviors at every turn that you have to
I want.
navigate your way through. We can
I
name
get
it
the
after
meme of the
Jared
guy.
Howe.
Yo, I want the meme of the black guy pointing into his head. I want that shit
Yeah.
framed over my bed.
Right. Think about it.
Exactly. So yeah, so this post, what do you know?
Yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of go off on that a little bit.
Go off,
for it.
brother.
Take it away, Jason.
We may or may not interrupt, but go ahead.
Oh, see that post, you guys. I mean, the positives coming out of that post. The negatives are stacked. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The negatives,
And they're obvious, right?
The positives that came out of that post, I think, is what we should focus on. The fact that we had anarchists from all different hyphens, right? We had ANCAPs and agorists and ANCOMs, including
And prims.
And Prim.
Yeah, including somebody who I really honestly can't stand, but I will give a shout out to Rachel Riska and to Rick
Yeah.
for their
they
service
were
on
on
that
there.
post.
Hey,
I only know
everybody,
they were
anybody
there
can
for-
change.
Oh my God, were they
Yeah.
active on that post? And they were spitting out good info, and there was some brutalism there, which I don't necessarily agree with, but
Well, and
they
here's
were
one thing
spitting
that
out a
she
lot of good
posted.
stuff.
It's
One
easy
thing
to
she-
get caught up in.
One thing that she posted on there was she said, "We are anarchists and we will defend our own no
Yes.
matter what our ideology."
Absolutely.
And that was her comment. And that for like
Yes.
I had mad respect for that, and I was like,
That
Okay.
that
be
was
right
a little goosebumpy for me. But
That's how
yes,
it should be, though.
There were ANCOMs and ANPRIMs and agorists and libertarians and constitutionalists and 3%ers and all these people on this thread coming to Jeremy's defense, right? And trying to educate all these just aggravated, emotional statists, you know, just bringing all this
violently
they were
disturbed. Violently disturbed.
bringing
I call them.
bringing dump trucks of hate, and we're flinging like spoonfuls of logic back at them. But we got
but
some.
see,
we
the
got
funny
some
thing
to
is-
stick.
well, and here's the
The
other
funny
thing.
thing with that is like, I call them low vibrational morons because it's like we're operating at a much higher vibrational level, so to speak, like intellectually. So it's like trying to come to these
Well,
people
all
and
you
speak
have
to
to
them
do-
our language is like they almost don't even understand it. You know what I mean? You have to break it down like meat and potatoes for them so that they can even fucking grasp it.
The
Well,
only
and that's
thing you have
just
to do
it.
to operate at a higher vibration than these people is to actually question things
Exactly.
instead
Be
of just
logical.
swallowing them whole. That's all you have to do
Yeah.
to operate at a higher level than these people do.
Yeah, but you know how like because I mean I remember when I questioned like my own belief system and I came to the realization that like I was living a lie my whole fucking life. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a total like shock to the system where you're like,
Yes, it is.
damn, like I gotta like relearn shit.
Yep.
Like the right
And
way.
it fucking hurts.
Oh,
It
it totally
hurts.
does.
Yes.
And people don't want to face that. People don't want to face that at all.
Especially if you've ever been
Only-
any kind of public employee, military, cops, you know,
Mhm.
first responders,
Yep.
all of that. That really, I mean, it's such a huge part of your identity as an adult
Yep.
is what you do for a living.
Right.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? And
And
boy,
this-
that fucking hurts.
And especially if you admire those types of jobs as a child. And a lot of these people that I've engaged in this thread, my dad was a firefighter, my dad was a cop, you know what I mean? And this is a generational thing similar to the military thing. They admired it from when they were a child. They accomplished
Those are
it
their
as an
heroes.
adult. And that's the epitome of their achievement.
Achievements
And the
and
minute
success.
like you're questioning it and saying, hey, by the way, like of course it brought this backlash, you know? So yeah.
It's
Because you're not just losing, right? You're not just losing ideas, or you're not just losing respect for yourself or your job. You're losing your heroes.
everything's a lie.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
indoctrination.
you're losing your
through saturation.
childhood heroes.
Well, and here's the
Well,
other
you lose what you
Go ahead.
what you lose what you thought was your identity is what it is, and then you have to
Yeah.
rediscover yourself.
Right.
You have to
Yeah.
like, you have to like shatter that mold that you were cast into and then rebuild yourself back up from the ground up, dude. And it's like, that's a difficult task for a lot of people. Like it takes strong people to do that shit.
Right. But then there are threads like this recent thread that I was on, this recent comment with this guy, he came to an agreement with me. He's like, I said, you know, there is money that's extorted through us through taxes. And yes, they pay for social services. It can be funded voluntarily, but you know how the government, everyone agrees that the government's corrupt. But the minute I said that these things, there are other things that are funded that I don't agree with and I have no say in it, that's where the system stops. That's where it's wrong and it doesn't represent you. And he stopped and he goes, I agree with you there. I don't like funding endless war. So it was like, boom, right there. There are threads in everybody that they can agree that the system is fucked. And a lot of people just go, well, what are we going to do? But the fact that all of us are engaging and talking to them and that they are able to understand our points of view and connect on that level, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so that's when so then I can take that further and just keep going and like, okay, here's the rabbit hole, by the way. You don't like endless wars? Come down this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like their aha moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
I call that the keystone issue. Right? You find that one keystone, right? In any structure, there's one stone that starts it.
Yep.
There's one piece of the foundation. And if you can find that keystone, that one subject that they are passionate about, that they care about, that infuriates them or charges them in one way or another. And from there, you can expand. Because once you get them on that subject, then they become engaged. And if they become engaged, then you can start to expand. You can start to open their minds a little bit. Most of the most people that come with hate.
Right, that you take their own stated principles on the issue that they've really thought about, on the issue that they're passionate about. You find where their principles are in that issue, and then you show them how to evenly apply those principles to everything.
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of it's based on logical inconsistency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you lay stepping stones.
Right.
Lay stepping
Plant
stones.
those seeds, baby.
It leads them across the road.
Breadcrumbs. Yeah, breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
See,
and here's the
and it's good that everybody's got like their own method of dealing with this, and like they don't just confront it with like more irrational bullshit.
Right, and
that helps the movement, or well, I wouldn't even say it's a movement, but it helps the cause grow. You know what I mean? Because people like come to the realization that like, okay, I understand the government's bullshit, but why is it? What's causing it? Am I feeding it? Like, you know what I mean? Like they start questioning shit, and that's, you know, it's kind of a snowball effect after that.
Yep, exactly.
And what I really loved was that most of the anarchists were very calm and respectful. You know how
and that's good. That's how it should be.
We all try to avoid logical fallacies. We don't engage in ad homs or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't either.
You know, and so other people who are reading this thread, you know that there were so many people who saw it that didn't comment.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Other
totally.
people.
I've had people
you know,
message me privately because of this thread. They said, hey, been monitoring this thread for the last 3-4 days. I've noticed your comments. You have been nothing but logically consistent. You seem like a rational person. I'd like to know more about this voluntarism. I'm still in dialogue with 3 different people one of them is a firefighter who is with this, who was in the same, you know, served with the same guy who died. And I've been in a discussion with him for the last couple days over this, you know, like, and because of my comments, because of my conduct, people are like, wait a minute, there's something to that. And you represent the idea of being logically consistent. You know, people are going to start to like give validity to what we're saying.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the people who have the capability for that higher vibration, they'll read the thread and they'll see who's being calm.
Right.
They'll see who's being rational, who's saying the same things applied to across, like you said, the logical consistency. You know, it spreads itself. If people see what it really is, it spreads itself.
And honey versus vinegar.
And not only that, it's one of those things that like a firefighter would totally grasp because they voluntarily stepped into that job to help people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you just apply that to like say, okay, well, look at your job. Like, you know, what you do is voluntary work. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're voluntarily helping people out. You're not being forced to do that.
Yep.
And one of the things that I said in that thread that really shut this one guy up is he said, oh, you don't care about these heroes and blah, blah, blah. And I said, or you don't value their services. I said, I value them so much that I know that they will be voluntarily funded without government.
Oh,
I
totally.
value them so much that I know people, other people, so many, I swear, 99.99, however long you want to take that out, % of people support first responder services. They want them, they will pay for them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
without
it provides security for communities.
yeah, well, I mean, without government, like, you know, people aren't just going to be like, oh, well, fuck it, I'm just going to let my house burn down. I don't want to pay for firefighters. You know what I mean? Like, like, where's
No,
the logic?
yeah.
Where's the logic in that?
There's tons of ways
There's-
that's already been explained to have volunteer firefighters and police.
Oh,
and whatnot.
totally, dude.
Like
Yeah.
no, like volunteer firefighters.
And-
The majority of the firefighters in this country are volunteer companies.
Yeah, exactly. Only
And
in
they
the big
don't do it
cities
for the
are they-
money,
Only in like the big
you
cities
know?
are they paid money.
Yeah.
Right. They don't do it for
You
the
know-
money for the most part. You know, they're not in
You
it
know
to
what
make
I've
6
always thought?
figures.
Yeah.
No.
And I've
They're
always
in it
thought
because
that,
of their heart.
King County.
Yeah.
Which King County
But I
out
mean-
here?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, they make a lot of fucking money.
the head guys do. My uncle works for King County, not so much.
King County, Washington.
Yeah.
Not
He's a
County.
King County
Yeah, see,
firefighter.
around here they're all around here they're all volunteer. So,
Yeah.
and like I know a lot of them, and it's a lot of them join up because they like care about their community. They're in it for like the brotherhood and like camaraderie
Right.
that it provides.
Right.
And
It's-
you know what I mean?
And
It's like
they see it as heroism. Helping
Yeah,
people
exactly.
is heroic. And yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I
not at
see
all.
it.
But
I
you
see
know,
it.
that's admirable. You know what I mean?
it is.
Like I talked about earlier with the neighborhood watch, the mutual aid groups. Volunteer firefighter is just an extension of that, right?
Absolutely is.
It's another branch or another interconnecting loop of that mutual assistance group or that community watch or neighborhood watch, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's the same with police. And if it needs to be funded, right? If you have to buy hoses and uniforms and trucks and all that, sell insurance, right?
Yep.
Sell a subscription service. Sell you got a town of 300 people or whatever, $10 a month, right? That's a lot of money. You know, you're not going to be needed every day.
Yeah.
So if you need a new hose, you know, somebody subscribes
Let
to
the
service.
community know. Hold a fundraiser.
Yeah.
You know?
Fill the boot. It happens all the time up here.
Exactly.
And see, the whole thing is that like that wouldn't be a fucking issue. People wouldn't be scrounging to try and help if we were taxed to fucking death. You know what I mean? If people had
That's
Yeah.
exactly my point.
45,
That's exactly what
50%.
I've been saying to people.
if people-
Exactly.
Marginal tax rates.
if
like
people had that like
50% of your
extra
fucking
surplus of
income.
money, yeah, exactly. If people had that extra surplus of money coming in, it wasn't taken out of their
Yeah.
pocket prior to them even receiving their paycheck. You know what I mean? They could spend money on whatever subscription service. You know, say it's for roads. You know, to build roads, to build whatever in the community. To fund the fire department, fund the police,
Yeah.
whatever. You
And
know what I mean?
I've-
You buy
I've always said-
a package, a subscription package, so to speak,
Right.
and you pay for that. You know what I mean? And it's
And
whatever.
I'll bet you, and I've said this before, I'll bet you insurance, your homeowner's insurance, car insurance, I bet they would go in half with you on the cost of those subscription services.
Easily.
yeah,
once,
totally.
once you get government out of the insurance game, insurance
Right.
is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
The concept of insurance is smart.
And because of the
And-
fact that you're the customer and you're buying that subscription, they have a obligation to provide the best services possible.
Especially in the free
And
market
your insurance
because
will
they're going to
give you
be in
lower-
competition with other companies providing the same or wanting to provide the same thing. Wherever there's
Exactly.
need, there will be. It's not hard to sell services.
Competition
No.
competition breeds a better product at a lower price.
Exactly.
Always.
And if you got a private security company, right, that's working an area and they're not doing their job and they suck and they're expensive and Joe Schmo starts his own, people are gonna go to Joe Schmo because he's cheaper and he's better.
Exactly.
And not only
The
that,
free market rewards success, rewards hard work, and punishes those that don't.
It takes care of
They're
itself.
inefficient and provide poor
Exactly.
It takes
Yeah,
care of
we're-
itself.
Yeah,
But
whereas the reverse, where you have protectionist economy, which is the term that I use to describe ours, there's no incentive to do better.
No, and there's no accountability
No.
to the people either.
And especially
Exactly.
when the government
Because
is
we
there to
can't-
back
we
up
can't-
monopolies.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can't see if
Hashtag
if
bailouts.
it was privately funded through like if it was privately funded, say through a subscription service, right? You could, if they weren't providing the services that you feel are, you know, adequate, you can just cut the fucking funding and they're done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're
Absolutely.
you know, you have complete control over the issue. It's not like, well, if you don't like the fucking services you're receiving, government's going to keep stealing money from you and providing those shitty services, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. You know, to quote Derek J.
So always call the other 911 then.
Yeah, right. I'll call a
That's what I used to
crackhead. They'll
tell
get that
people.
shit done, dude. They'll get that shit done in a fucking hurry. And they'll go
911
grocery shopping for me.
911 response in my area is 22 minutes.
Well, and this is the other thing that we have discussed previously on the show in, you know, in other circumstances is that if you take government out of all these services, people, like we said, people getting arrested for feeding the homeless, churches being shut down because they're housing the homeless, like all these people, like there's so much, there's so much money, there's so much willingness to help the poor, the needy, the whatever, but government interferes and they shut them down. Or if they're a nonprofit, they have to go through all kinds of jumps and hoops in order to say that they're a nonprofit in order to provide services. And that's the bottom line. You know, it is possible, take government out of it and look how much more money would be available, especially if individuals are not personally taxed, they're able to say where their money goes. And then guess what? You're not funding endless wars on top of it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
If it's important to you, you'll fund it.
Exactly.
If
Yep.
you're not willing to fund it, then it's not important to you.
Right.
Yeah. And you should have that voluntary choice. You know what I mean? It's like you should have the
Exactly.
free will to do that.
Exactly.
Derek, you're still muted. There you
Yeah,
go.
sorry, I just fixed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
I was
did
just
you
gonna
say?
say, and
But
how many
I mean, it's
people want
it's so
to
goddamn obvious.
bomb-
Like, how do people not see it?
Right. Yeah.
And
How many
Dr.
They're
people
wrapped
wanna
up
bomb
in the current
Roundtable?
system and the illusion that they think it provides.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
they also assume and associate anarchy with absolute chaos because that's what they've been taught.
Exactly. Well, and that's the other thing too, is that they think like a lot of similar comments that I've received on the thread is like, oh, you guys just want to live in a cave and you hate capitalism. I'm like, oh, no, we love capitalism. Capitalism is fantastic. And a couple of people have stopped and they're like, wait, whoa. And then you start talking about free markets and you start talking about economics and they go, okay, I'm listening. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, because they don't think
that's-
they're liberal anymore.
Right, exactly.
That's
They're like,
that's
wait, I
how
can take
that's
them
how I
seriously?
reached the people that I engaged
economics.
with. The
Yeah.
people that I engaged with, it was the economics angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you just. I was like, no, this is what voluntarism is. You know, we don't want to smash windows. We believe in private property.
Or trash cans.
We believe in self. We believe in self ownership. We're not going to be caught on video kicking a city sign that only spins around a pole.
That was hilarious, dude.
It was
That was
hilarious.
fantastic.
But yeah, like I mean, it's one of those things that like I don't know. It's kind of crazy that they don't realize these things. But then again, it's like if it's not introduced to them, they're not going to think of it on their own.
Well, right. And again, it's a rabbit hole. Like if you get one spark of knowledge to go, oh, that is extortion is wrong. Oh, wait, this can be voluntary. But you keep going. Like that's when they start getting those questions and they start getting those epiphanies of like, oh, wait, that's right. You know, when we start introducing these ideas, that's why they haven't stopped to think about it, because they think that the system is the only way that can provide these services. But when we bring up these points, they're like, well, I can't argue with that. And I've had that so many times. I can't argue with that, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, like
what
a lot of people would
funny
like
is-
not to have to pay taxes, and they would like to have control over where their money goes. Like that's kind of like a given. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you address people from that angle, it's like they understand it. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I do want to be able to fund the things I want, and I don't want to fund the things I don't want.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's good.
to quote Derek J. Freeman, if Starbucks dropped bombs, I wouldn't shop there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
No doubt.
What I
man.
find the most sometimes difficult to understand, but also the most hopeful about all of it is that you can almost say with certainty that every statist you run across and that you're having, you know, a debate with or talking to or whatever, they hold almost the exact same principles that you hold. They just don't know how to evenly apply them.
Exactly.
That's all. We
They've-
all are almost identical in the things that we think are right and wrong. You
Well,
know,
that-
they
Yeah,
just have been
it's-
told that these things make it okay
It's
when
it's
it
it's
really
an-
doesn't.
it's indoctrination through saturation. I mean, they have a 15,000 hour, 12-year program
Mhm.
dedicated to stifling creativity, to stifling independent thought, to stifling
Individualism.
the very ideas of freedom.
Yep.
You know, these people are taught to
To
not only
instilling obedience to
to-
authority.
to yeah and to not
And to
only-
do your civic duty.
to champion
Yeah.
socialist
The civic
programs and call it
and
freedom.
follow the social contract.
Yeah, but they don't even know that they're socialist. You know what I mean?
I know
Exactly.
Right?
Which,
That's
which,
the
which is
idea.
funny because
That's
they'll
where
like
the
bash socialism
indoctrination
all.
comes in.
Yeah, they'll bash socialism all day, but then they don't even realize that they live under socialism. It's like,
Exactly.
and then
Yeah.
like when I address status, like,
Yeah.
and I don't even like to call them status because it's kind of a derogatory term. I mean, like I'll talk
Right.
about them that way, but to their face, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a fucking status, because it's not going
Right.
to get you anywhere.
Between us,
Right?
we can
So-
do that. Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's whatever, you know what I mean? And when I address it, I don't ever use the term anarchism because it's always a trigger term for a lot of people that don't understand the, you know,
because of
the
the negative incantation that it brings up.
yeah, well,
Right.
yeah, exactly. Not only that, they don't understand the, you know, the Greek root of the word, you know, meaning
Exactly.
self-governance,
The
and, you know, so on and so forth.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's been twisted, it's been bastardized, right? So I use the term voluntary action or voluntarism or whatever because that appeals
Yeah.
to a lot more people because they understand it from that aspect,
Right.
right? And then when I talk about capitalism, because, you know, not everybody agrees with capitalism, I say free markets because
Free
that
market, yeah.
kind of describes it a lot better than, you know,
Capitalism, which
because
is
they
another
always
term that
associate-
has been
it's
conflated.
been bastardized, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And it's like they associate
you talk
capitalism
about
with corporatism
capitalism-
or crony capitalism.
Crony cat. Exactly.
And people think that you mean capitalism to the exclusion of all other voluntary transactions. And
Right.
that's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not the case.
And a
So
free market-
yeah,
Free market. You can have market socialists, you can have capitalists, you can have whoever. You know what I mean? And
you
it's
can have a
and it's
bartering
free.
farmer's market next to a fucking
Yeah.
you know,
A
a capitalist
co-op.
business.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
to a
It's
co-op,
it's a
next to
vehicle for
commune.
spontaneous order,
Yeah.
Exactly.
right? So
Absolutely,
that's how I
absolutely.
try to explain it to people. And like this one guy, he was a transport driver, and I was talking to him on our ride up to Albany, and I was like, you know, explaining to him, I was like, you know, the whole economics line that we were talking about. I was like, wouldn't you like to be able to, like, you know, buy a subscription package for your community, right? To build your community and focus on, you know, making your community more prosperous, better place, you know, better environment for entrepreneurs to thrive, things of that nature, right? And he was like, oh yeah, of course, I totally buy that. You know, I you know, if I didn't have to pay taxes, I would much rather do it that way.
Yeah. That's all we're
And
saying.
he-
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. And from that angle, he totally understood it, and I didn't even have to say anything about anarchism or anything, and like he totally got it. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do with the way you word things and the way that you approach people, because it's like if you're too aggressive about it, then they kind of like, you know, back off and they're like, no, I'm good. I don't want to know anything about this. But if you come at it from like a rational standpoint and explain things to people, like, okay, there's another way to do it. You know, we don't have to use force. We don't have to steal money from people to get shit done. We could do it ourselves. We can, you know, pool our money, whatever, and we can get it done. You know, it's
And that way nobody's paying for shit that they don't actually want.
exactly. And you know what's funny? I read an article not that long ago, and it was a Democratic state legislator that proposed a bill where people could opt out of funding war.
Right.
Yes.
And I was like, no shit. I'm like, a Democrat really proposed that? Like, I mean, not that I would expect a Republican to propose that because they're usually pro-war, but anyway.
They're all.
Yeah, they
I
got to
was-
pander to their bases sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Keep
it
up
was kind of.
appearances, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, fuck the
pandering
state,
to
fuck
their base
legislation and
after
new
the
laws and
other
everything,
guy
but like,
left in office.
Right.
I can
Yeah.
agree with people, like, you know, I don't want the state to give me a right to do something, but I mean,
Right.
that's better than nothing,
It's
being
it's
able
a,
to opt out of funding it.
it's a glimmer of hope that people are starting to think
Mhm.
about even any indication that people at large
Yeah.
are starting to think more about these principles. People shouldn't be funding something they believe is wrong. That's a big deal when that idea starts getting more mainstream. So even just seeing, even though it's not the vehicle we would choose, even though it's not, the person in position that we'd like to, even though we disagree with the rest of their structure, that in itself, that idea has actually come to the floor in one of these
baby
governmental
steps.
things. It's a step, and it's an encouraging one.
And I also think that the fact that the Pope is afraid of libertarianism is a fucking huge deal,
That's great.
because if
That's fucking great.
the main pontiff is talking about libertarianism as a bad thing, we're on a fucking roll.
Well, that's because the
We are.
reptile people told him to that libertarianism is out to get him.
Shut that
Fuck
shit
those guys.
down because it's starting to take over,
Destroying the
man.
ball. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to know?
When the
guys wanna know something
Vatican is
really
scared of
interesting?
you, you're on the right track.
Exactly.
Oh, totally. If you guys want to know
Until they
something really
suicide
interesting,
you.
I
Tell us,
posted
Dan.
this. I posted this. Is linked to a site that my friend Ginger hooked me up with, because she's like really into legalese and like old treaties that like are still enacted, like canon law and all this shit that like a lot of people don't even know about. Like a lot of anarchists don't study this aspect of like legal, the legal aspect of like the structure that we find ourselves under, right? And it essentially, like, it goes all the way fucking back to this treaty of 1213, and it was enacted by the Vatican at the time or whatever. So, and it's still active at this point in time, where the Pope can overrule any law in any country around the fucking world. Like, the dude pretty much has like absolute
Unlimited
control.
cosmic power.
Yeah, because of
Yeah.
God. Because of God, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested, look that up. The Treaty of 1213. I have the
Nice.
link on my page if you want to find it in my timeline, but otherwise you can probably just look it up.
Yeah.
Can you tag us in that?
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it. And I'll
I've
definitely
been
tag it.
quite preoccupied.
Put it in Telegram.
I'll forget.
Melissa's
Put out the link in
notifications are like
Telegram.
6,492.
You have no idea.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand like how there's still like canon law and that like that's active. Like there's like all kinds of shit that like people don't even know about when it comes to the legal aspect of like, the control system. And it's good to understand that, because if you're operating on a different playing field altogether than the people that are your fucking opponent, you're never going to understand like, the way that they're doing things.
Of
You're never
course.
going to know how to combat it, you know what I mean, or get
Which
around
is
it, or
exactly
get out of
the
it.
Which is exactly why I always loved studying Machiavelli, because he was
Oh, he
such
was
a
a big-
great tactician.
Yeah,
with
he was
war
a big proponent
and
for
studying
fucking
his
status, dude.
Well, but not only proponent, and I don't agree with his theories, but that man was a tactician with studying war and how to
Totally.
and how to combat an enemy, and that's why I don't agree with everybody that I put quotes up of, but I do admire their drive to what they did, and like I always refer to Machiavelli when it comes to combating an enemy, and looking at things strategically like a chessboard, and knowing, okay, what's the next 15 jumps that I'm going to make? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You kind of have to. You kind of have
Sun
to.
Tzu also. The
Sun
art
Tzu's
of
a
Yeah.
good
war.
one.
Yeah.
But the what was I gonna say? About Machiavelli.
You said he was a statist, which we all know.
No, not that.
The
I
way
know,
he was a tactician for war or for promoting his agenda.
He was like the original shitlord.
Yeah, dude.
Warlord, come on. Use
Oh,
the
that's what I
correct
was
term
gonna
that's
say.
thrown at us all the time, Derica.
I'm just
I mean,
saying. I'm saying he's like the ancestor of today's fucking
Oh,
edgelords,
totally.
the internet
Yeah.
edgelords.
Well, see,
Right.
what I was gonna say was it was a Dostoevsky's quote, and he was the one that said that it's easy to condemn your enemy, but it's much harder to understand what they do and why
Right.
they do it.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because that, like, it's easy as fuck to hate them, but to understand like
Yep.
the logic behind what they do and why they do it and how they do it is what gets to the root so you can strike it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what's the real victory here? The real victory isn't killing everybody who disagrees with you. The real victory is showing people why they should agree with you and having it make sense to them. And then they agree
Right.
with you. That's the real fucking victory.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
because you've
that's-
turned them
and-
inside out at that point.
Exactly.
And you know what? It's funny because it's like the people that always promoted that kind of thinking are the ones that get killed by government, because it's like you pose a threat, not violently, but logically.
Logically, they're
That's
too
not
smart.
suspect or anything, is it?
And that's way more fucking dangerous than having a standing army, because that shit spreads like a virus.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
for the
when
Christians,
they killed
look
JFK and
at the
MLK.
story. Look at the story of Jesus Christ.
And Bobby.
You know, for the Christians, he
Yeah.
was preaching love. He was
Yeah.
preaching tolerance and mutual aid, and you know, talking about an authority other than the Roman Empire. And he was fucking put to death for it.
Yeah, not only that, his battle was a battle that's as old as time, and it's still going on today. He took on the money changers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And those are the people that are still running the show today.
Yeah.
And they killed his ass for fucking trying to expose them.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. So you know,
All right,
I mean,
guys.
whether you're Christian or not, there's lessons to be taken from that story.
Absolutely.
So there's a lesson to be taken from every story, really. So
What's
what
that,
were you
Mark?
saying, Jason?
Well, I was gonna say we've been on for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself, you guys. You can mark it from the time I jumped on. Come on now.
Yeah, right.
That's all right. We got the after show, right? I'm just kidding.
That's true. There's always
Not really.
the after show.
There is.
The
The
after show
after
is where shit
party.
gets scandalous.
We can
And
make
none
a
of you-
bloopers
Mark's gonna get
reel.
naked now.
People are working or invited.
Right. But how much of this can we expect people to listen to on YouTube? So yeah.
Just our favorite
I
2
know.
listeners. Come on now.
We got 10. We got 10
10,
active
10.
listeners right now.
We do.
11.
Ooh, right,
11.
Nice.
Woo!
Thank you for
Nice.
your service, 11 people.
That's right.
Yeah, we love you.
Thank you.
Is one of those 11 the
So-
NSA guy? Because he can go fuck himself.
Well, no, he doesn't show up.
He doesn't show up. He's
11
just here always.
people.
He's omnipresent.
He's self.
Pay no attention to him. You know, take the atheist attitude. You don't exist. Go fuck yourself.
Parasite.
NSA guy is like God.
Right.
That's right.
I am an atheist to the government. What do you know?
Oh,
Hey, that's what isn't that what Gerald
a
Celente
state
said? He said
theist?
A
he said
statheist.
he's a political atheist. He said he doesn't believe in what was it, political gods or something along those lines. I forget the quote, but
Yeah.
I love that
Idols.
dude.
Yeah.
Gerald Celente is a fucking badass little Italian guy,
He is.
and he actually lives he lives right down in Kingston too, like probably a half an hour south of me.
I don't know who he is. Facebook friend, is that, or is it?
No, he's like he's
Activist?
pretty big in like the liberty truth movement kind of thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I never know. Like I said, I never know names.
Well, he does like a lot of radio programs, like interviews on radio programs and stuff. That's how I know about him.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'm ready to go
Definitely.
off air though. If you guys are ready to go off air, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. We
We have to do the quote.
Oh, we do have to do the quote, and I have the
Okay.
quote prepared.
Okay, I grabbed it.
Did you? Okay, go ahead. Go
What
ahead.
do you got, Mark? What do you got?
I've got a good one that just came to my attention. So
How about you do yours and I'll do mine, and we'll let our 11 listeners decide.
I love it.
All right. Well, yeah. How about you do yours first, Jason? You go
All right,
ahead.
This is being a scientist is just a social construct. You can call yourself one without really being one. Bill, the trans scientist guy.
I love
Yes.
it.
Hey, I'm a fucking scientist.
Me too.
I
Mad
experiment.
scientist.
I experiment all the time on myself.
Yeah.
Nice. An amateur progressive chemist.
What you
Well,
do in the shower doesn't
question,
count.
I question
That's
everything.
experiments.
That makes me a scientist, right?
Take it easy.
Questioning everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be the philosopher. Thank you.
I'm a mad chemist.
Gotta have the
really.
mix.
I
Yeah,
make candy. I'm a
that's
mad
more my
chemist.
style.
Hey, did you guys see that that backhanded
I'll just
compliment
talk to
that
the
chick
chickens.
left on Jeremy's post?
Which one in the over 11,000 comments? I've kind of lost track.
No, it was underneath that one meme that I posted, and she was like, "At least
Oh,
you have a sense
Yvonne,
of
who
humor on
loves me
like
so
the
much.
rest of these guys."
Yeah.
Wait, what? What did she say?
She said something about Yvonne said something about keep your sense of humor, unlike the rest of these guys, meaning the rest of us anarchists.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that the
What a
one that
bitch,
told
man.
you to go suck a dick?
No, that was a different
Oh.
one. But she it was so funny. Every time I left a comment, she would say, "Why are you repeating yourself?" You know, she was just like jumping on me. I'm like, because I'm engaging in conversation and I'm using this
Yvonne.
dialogue. And then she ended
Yvonne
up blocking
was the
me
one-
after 2 days. She ended up blocking me after trolling me the entire time. I'm like, you're not going to get to me. I'm just going to come back at with you with logic. So, oh, look, you just blocked me because you can't handle it. Okay, I gotcha.
she's the one.
Dude,
that
she
kept
looked like
saying,
total like
but-
white trash.
Oh,
Yeah, she's the one that.
Now
kept
that's
saying,
shocking.
Yeah,
that
right.
You willingly pay your taxes. I was like, I think you need to look up the definition of the word willingly.
willingly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, the most hilarious thing was like when she was like, "Why don't you go suck a dick or something?" You're like that would be a bad thing.
Right. No, that was right. Like that's punishment. Come on.
I was like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, no, that was a mess. One of the million of messages that I've received of death threats and all kinds of horrible things that she was like, you know, go suck a dick, and I'm like, because that would be punishment. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
what do you exactly like? Is that
Jerica's face was fucking priceless.
right, Dereka? Like you get it? Like what? Like okay,
And
sure.
our viewership just tripled.
Don't
For
mind
the
if I
record, I
do.
didn't because my man is 3,000 miles away, but you know, which is hilarious
man.
because he's the one that wrote the OP. So then that would just satisfy him. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Hey, things all work out in the end, right?
yeah.
You should have told her. You should have told her. I think I will go suck Jeremy's dick without her knowing, you know, that you and Jeremy are a thing.
But thank you for stating that just now live, Dereka. I appreciate it.
Now everybody knows, in case there was any question.
I got you, Sam.
The cat's out of the bag now.
You said he's the one. You said he's the one that wrote the
I know. I was joking.
But that would be funny.
Oh.
Be like, you know, like pretend
would be
that,
funny.
You know, the anarchist groupie, you know, that wants to. This guy that got so much attention. That'd be funny. Sorry. Sorry.
That would be hilarious.
Anarcho Flunky, the newest page. All right, guys, to close it out, actually came
On
from
that note.
history. Unlike Jason's,
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it.
Bill
more.
Nye is full of shit.
That's
Yeah.
a
Night.
fact.